The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the pit complete. That is crazy
West
stuff.
side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Two weeks ago, the drivers in the BES took on an old school icon in the form of Brands Hatch. Once again, they find the teams taking on a name reminiscent of the old days of racing. Perhaps most well known for the tragic loss of Gilles Villeneuve, Zolder has been challenging racing drivers for decades and continues to punish the overeager to this day. So who can overcome this chicane-ridden circuit to take the top spot? We'll find out in just about 3 hours' time as we get ready to watch round 3 of the iRacing Blancpain Endurance Series qualifiers live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth yet again is Bill Soup Zahn and Brian Yazik. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yaman, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, whenever people talk about racing in Belgium, everybody almost immediately sends their minds to Spa. But this track has quite a bit of history and lore of its own, doesn't it?
It does. It was built in the early 60s, but safety concerns have forced the designers to change this track over the years, and their tool of choice has really been the chicane. Now, Mark Twain said, golf is a good build. And I think if he were alive today, he'd probably have something similar to say about Zolder. A good track that has kind of been spoiled, at least in my eyes. The course starts off nicely as you roll through the first 4 corners, and then you start down this long back straight, only to find the first chicane that chops the first straight right at the halfway point. Then you go on the second part of the back straight that sweeps lefts and dumps you in, guess what, to another chicane. Then you work on the back half of the course, and just when you think you're at the front straight and you're ready to go down the front straight, what do you find? Yep, another chicane. So you got 3. And because the chicane store had a buy 3, get 1 free sale, the course designers decided to drop one into pit lane as well. So there's chicanes everywhere. But probably on a more positive note, this is a really picturesque track, very Belgium-y, with lots of forest that you kind of half expect a line of German tanks to emerge out of. But I suppose maybe the best way, if I were driving a car, I think the BMWs might have an advantage here. I guess I would appreciate that the straights are broken up a little bit, give you a few extra braking zones to counterbalance the roof's top-end speed. So maybe that'll help them there. But probably the best way to understand Zolder in a more positive note than what I've explained it as is a nice little video trap lap guide here. So let's roll that right now.
All right, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Zolder. Coming to turn 1, it's a fast downhill left-hander with a very late apex. Turn in too early and be ready to slide off into the gravel. From there, switch left and set up for 2. This corner and 3 are basically one long arc, but be careful not to push too far wide because the big sausage curbs on the outside can get your car all out of sorts. Keep the power on through 3 and immediately get ready for 4. The car carries a ton of speed through this long sweeper, and it's critical that you nail the exit without leaving the track limits. That's because at the end of this backstretch is one of the most popular overtaking spots, so don't leave yourself vulnerable. Also, make sure not to get too greedy on these huge inner curbs because they can destroy your suspension. From there, we climb the crest and stay left to set up for the second chicane. This is a maddeningly slow and technical set of corners. I wish they could have just extended the runoff instead of putting this thing here, because it's a mess to navigate. From there, turn 7 is going to have a lot of banking, so using every inch of the circuit from apex to track out is gonna pay off. One more big crest, and now we stay left and brake hard for 8. This is another favorite passing zone, so keep an eye on your mirrors. Make sure in late apex this bad boy for the best launch possible. Straighten out the itty-bitty chicane of 9, and then stay right for the final chicane. Watch out for guys heading for the pit lane. They won't be braking, and if you get fixated on them, you're following them in. This is another part where the giant inner curbs can ruin your day, so pay them some respect. Once again, get your exit right, straighten the car out, and now you've completed a lap around Zolder. That should give you an idea of just how tricky it's going to be through all these chicanes that Bill mentioned. There you see a lovely overhead view of the track. And it is really a nice layout, like Bill said, very picturesque, very beautiful, especially with the sort of evening time sort of setting that iRacing has chosen for one of the more common layouts here, or common lighting layouts here. So, with all the chicanes, with all the heavy braking zones, Brian, what are some of the places that you expect guys to maybe attempt some passes around here?
Well, passing zones, I'm kind of looking at turns number 1, 5, 6, 8, and 10. Now, that does kind of sound like a lot, but let's break it down a little bit. Turn 1 is a good outbraking opportunity because if you can stick the opposition of your pass to the outside, he really has no other choice but to give it up, or else he's going to end up in the big kitty litter that sits out there. Turn 5 is right before the first chicane, so again, another outbraking opportunity. And I'm also kind of looking at turn 8, where it's kind of a swooping right-hander. So if you can, once again, find the preferred racing line, the person you're trying to pass really is not going to have an opportunity to fight you too bad. And then looking right up to 10, if you can get the run onto somebody coming through turn 10, you can really kind of put them in a disadvantage. So that's really the big idea behind passing. And turn 8 was actually the hairpin. My apologies on that one. The big opportunity here is put the other drivers in a position where they don't really want to fight you through the corners, and you'll come out ahead of it each and every single time.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of them really depend on these chicanes, and as most drivers know, if you go side by side through a chicane, Bill, you're both going to be losing time.
Yeah, and when we talk about passing zones, we usually follow up by talking about where the danger zones are. And I would almost say that the danger zones are the exact same corners that Brian just mentioned, because while there are lots of passing opportunities, there aren't a lot of great passing opportunities. They're all kind of, I hope this works type of thing. So you're almost waiting for the driver ahead of you to make a mistake to give you an opportunity. I think if the guy in front can hit his marks and stay clean, it's going to be really hard to make a pass.
I don't doubt that. It seems like, and at least from my experience, you're kind of just sitting there, like you said, waiting and just not trying to get yourself into too much trouble, which is very easy to do here. The chicanes are kind of known for causing a lot of cut courses as well.
Yeah, the slowdown penalty might be your best chance to get around the car in front of you.
Really,
they happen so often here.
I would.
I was going to say, or even if you can make your opponent overshoot the corner, the curves on the other side of these corners are not forgiving in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely. We were talking a little bit before the broadcast, and even our director agreed that we probably are not going to see too many cars without damage when this race is over, simply because if you start attacking those curbs, these low-slung GT3 cars, the sausage curbs, as some people have liked to call them, can really hurt you. And it sounds like qualifying is over, so let's go through the order. Curb Surfers are on the pole this week. Behind them, or excuse me, next to them rather, is Pure Racing Team number 112. Then on the start of the second row, it's Iberica Racing Zalem. Then in fourth, it's Pure Racing Team number 111. And fifth, it's Pure Racing Team number 113. So those guys are out in force today. And in sixth, Bill, we have Triton Racing Blue.
Seventh position is Vortex Sim Racing Blue. MSP Driver Home 1 is in 8th position. 9th position, Black Star Racing. Oh, they sound scary. Corey Sim Racing is going to be in the 10th position. Trinity Motorsports Green Team in 11th. And in 12th is Triton Racing Red. Brian?
13th to Odox Motorsports. 14th to Motor Breath Endurance. That might be one of my favorite team names. 15th goes to GTROS Spanish Sim Racing Team Silver. 16th to Phoenix Motorsports Orange. 17th to Direct Clutch Motorsports. 18th to Team GT BES. Joe?
Then in 19th, we have Nitor Velo. And 20th, it's ART Racing Team Black. Behind them in 21st, it'll be Odox Motorsports Silver, followed by Dream Factory in 22nd. Mad Cow Racing Buttercup, not as high up this time. They're starting in 23rd. And in 24th, Bill, it's IRJA Flat 6 Racing, who had a good showing last time.
In 25th, Vortex Sim Racing Green. In 26th position, TNT Racing Gold. 27th, MSP Drivers Home 4. SRN Motorsports GT. In 28th, 29th, Petrol Delta Turn 2 Motorsports. We know them. And in 30th position, Gathering of Tweakers GT. 31st, Brian?
We'll round out the field here. 31st goes to Team Turkley. Probably mispronouncing that, Motorsports. 32nd goes to Apex Racing UK. 33rd, GTRS Spanish Sim Racing Orange. 34th to Hellenic Racing. 35th to Apex Racing Academy. 36th to Monster Energy Endurance. And 37th to Pure Racing Team 14.
Pure Racing Team
114.
114 did not put a qualifying time in, which I'm not too shocked that someone didn't manage to get a clean lap in around here, considering those chicanes and those cut courses that we mentioned earlier. For those new to iRacing, if you put more than half the car off what iRacing deems as the racing surface, then you get a 1x incident point, and your lap in qualifying does not count. And speaking of the incident points, there is an incident limit, and that is 30 of them over these 3 hours, so they can only get about 10 incidents per hour. And Brian, when we're talking about incident points, for those not familiar with iRacing, what exactly are they?
You get 1 incident point for just putting 2 tires off. So what you're going to see is in some of those curbs, you probably rack up what's a 1x. Not really anything of a bad situation, but still, those all add up. You get a 2x for spinning out. If the car rotates more than, I think, 180 degrees is the exact definition. And then you get a 4x for absolutely slamming the car in front of you.
As well, there's a 2x for hitting the wall, which I'm sure these cars will not want to be doing that. There's a few places where the barriers are fairly close there. You can see as they go through the second chicane. Fortunately, we got a couple cars that looks like still don't have their paints loaded from Trading Paints. We apologize for that. It's loading right now. They're coming in now. So if you don't see your paint, don't worry. It's not something that we can always control. Trading Paints sometimes does not load up the correct paint. We apologize for that. Now they head into the hairpin. And before we go live, real quick, who's your guys' pick, Bill?
Well, I saw Claudio Klima out there, and I know him, so I like that team. So I like Coreg Race Sim Racing. They're in the car number 12.
You know, for me, with the way that with the way that Mad Cow Racing ran last week, I know they're starting in the back, but that's going to be my pick today.
All right, heading through the final chicane, everybody trying to weave their way through. Dennis Grabowski for Curb Surfers has control, and he accelerates away. Everybody got a little backed up behind him. Florian Voith with Pure Racing, number 112, is in second. He's going to have the inside down into turn 1. We got a couple 3-wide situations, a little bit of contact farther back. I think that was Black Star Racing. Still going 3-wide as cars are trying to sort themselves out, coming into turn 2. It looks like, though, everybody managed to get through there.
Oh, had some 3-wide racing back there, but yeah, very clean. Dangerous, but clean so far.
This is the
mantra of the day right there. Dangerous, but clean.
Really. And now we head into the first chicane. This is going to be the real test. Dennis Grabowski leads the way. Everybody behind now. We got a 2-wide and a little bit of contact between Andreas Denberger and who was that? Lucas Justad, I think? They managed to get through it, though. I don't think they got a cut course, but they lost a lot of positions.
Oh, some of the cars in the back almost came to a virtual stop as they were trying to file through the chicane.
Thankfully, it looks like everybody made it through the first and the second one. There might have been a few offs, a few little bits of contact, maybe a few slowdown penalties, but I think we've gotten everybody through. Already, Dennis is hitting that final chicane. There you can see the leaders heading down that last little stretch. One of the more open chicanes of these 3. So the order as they come across the line after the first lap, Curb Surfers are leading. Pure Racing Team 112 is in second. Pepo de las Eras for Iberica Racing Zalem is in third. And Patrick Pitchler is in fourth for Pure Racing 111.
Brian, you got to appreciate the patience of these guys. There were a lot of cars to get around 3 chicanes. They did a pretty good job of negotiating them all.
Absolutely. I was kind of keeping my eye on the back of the pack here, and everybody they were expressing a lot of
We've got one of
sorry.
our front runners spinning around. Andreas Sternberger for Pure Racing 113 has hit the wall coming out of 3. Let's look at the replay. I think that was completely driver error. I'm not sure. Was Andreas the one that made contact in the first chicane?
I think it was, and he just got loose.
I bet you that was from damage that when he had made contact, because I was on his left side.
Oh, that's a tough way to... Just got loose and spun around on the inside wall.
So either driver error or just struggling with an ill-handling car.
Now there are
fast.
We should tell the viewers there are no fast repairs, so it is. You'll be in there for a while to get that thing fixed.
Well, we always say, Brian, that if you're going to have problems in an endurance race, you want to have them early, so they've got time to try and make up ground. But like Bill said, I think that's going to be a lot of repairs.
It's going to be, yeah, but we're 7 minutes. No, not even 7 minutes. We're 4 minutes into the race. You got a 3-hour race going. Depending on how bad he hit, I mean, it's going to dictate, obviously how long he's going to be on pit road for. It looks like he's already lost 1 lap, but when it comes down to this, you're kind of hoping for a lot of attrition from some of your fellow racers out there, and I don't think that we're going to have any lack of. Or that's probably not the first time that we're going to see someone hit the wall and take the toe to the pits.
Right now, we're watching a battle between Paul Ledouin and Mikko Nidimaki, Black Star Racing and Triton Racing going at it. Unfortunately, Pavel. Now I've got that name. Pavel had to back out of it in the first chicane there, and that has put him under threat from Lucas Yastad.
Yeah, Lucas Yastad got in there now. It's a 3-car race. A 3-car battle is always much more exciting than a 2-car battle. But those guys have been really going at it for the last lap and a half, I'd say. It's a battle for 5th. And just to follow up on what we were talking about, in driver swaps, you feel bad when you crash your car no matter what. But boy, you really feel bad when you have other teammates that are been practicing all week, 2 weeks for this event, and you've hurt their chances right on 7 minutes into the race.
And they didn't even get to step into the car because now Sternberger has disconnected, we're hearing. So he is, that might be just that driver. So is he still on track? Is he still in the pits? It looks like he's not, so maybe the team has actually disconnected. That's sad to see. Only a lap and a half into this race, and they decide to call it quits. Meanwhile, battle for P13 on screen. Marcus Meyer in that, along with Patrick Bachelot. And they're still going at it. Vladimir in the black machine on your screen. White and green for Marcus Meyer for Trinity Motorsports. You can see just how difficult it is to weave through these chicanes. I always love this section of the course. Up over that rise, dipping down. There's not a whole lot of elevation change, especially for a Belgian track, but what's there is definitely a nice little bit of fun around what can be a frustrating circuit.
Well, to be fair, when you're talking about referencing Belgian tracks, Spa really spoiled us.
It did.
You can see behind them a good battle going on as well between Mika Happinen for Nitor Velo and Luigi Nepolini and Team GT. He's got to run, but I don't think Luigi's going to stick his nose in. Oh, he does! He takes a little bit of a look, but he's not close enough to try and take the line away. Luigi in the white roof behind the black BMW of Mika.
Something else I kind of want to point out, we talked about it a little bit the last race, about potentially which car was going to be the best. We've got a fairly good parity up into the top 10. There's not really, looking at it, there are 4 McLarens, there are 3 roofs and 3 BMWs. So not one car is better than the other, at least in this part of the race so far.
Oh, and Luigi made a bad exit out of that first chicane. Sergio Alvarez for ART is taking a look. Is he going to stick it inside on the second chicane? Yes, he does. They go side by side, and Luigi gives it up.
Yeah, that was a...
Whoa! Sorry, a big mistake from Sergio on the exit there.
That was a big wiggle, and that just opened the door back up for Luigi to take the nose back in as he takes the run to the corner, and he kind of gives up the line there. Does he come out? No, he's going to stay right and tuck, maybe make a run at him at 10.
Just look at the train of cars behind them, though. They are all right up together, all the way down to...
Whoa, we got a spin in front of this, too. Claudio Klima. Spun out from 8th place.
He is losing tons of positions there. You can see him trying to get back on.
And there's no way to get back in because of the train. You have to wait for that entire train to go by.
Just,
from 8th
wow,
place
look at
to
this pack of cars.
27th.
Yeah, it's all being held up by the engine in this train is Sergio Alvarez, and I think he's holding up the rest of these guys.
Well, before that pass, it was Luigi Nepolini as well. So we'll have to see if Sergio can start to streak away. But that is a lot of very close cars. Only about 10 minutes into this 3-hour race. I don't think we've got any cars being lapped yet, but with this being a fairly short course, lap traffic will come into play. And as we said, with all these chicanes, it's going to be tricky trying to work your way past. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, Bill, if we see some awkward situations where someone thinks they're giving them space and they stick their nose in where they should not have.
Well, one of the good things about this course is some of the chicanes are a little bit forgiving that maybe you're not going to damage your car, other than the curbs or so. You know, these GT3 cars don't like to go over those curves, so not going to go into the wall on a lot of these things. So at least there's give and take. You can give a little bit and maybe end up with a slowdown penalty.
I really feel like those are going to make the difference today, since the fastest drivers are the ones that make the most time are probably going to be avoiding them. You may only lose about a second and a half or 2 seconds by getting that cut course, but when you start adding those up,
yeah.
You know, if you lose about 30 seconds over the course of the race, that could be a position.
And we talked about the incident cap. The incident cap is not huge. I mean, you could use those up pretty quickly. We said it was about 10 an hour. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're looking at Ray Alfala sitting in 28th at the moment. He is trying to chase down Claudio Klima, who had that off. Down into the second chicane, not close enough. Klima looking at Julian Grunestell for MSP Drivers Home 4. Everybody in this group all within about half a second of each other, or even less. In fact, up in front of them, I'm taking a look at Stephen McGarvey on Noya Nagai for Flat 6 Racing, one of the faster drivers from last week at Brands Hatch, and a guy firmly stuck in the mid-pack right now with nowhere to go.
We were kind of referencing this a second ago, but Sergio Alvarez up there in 16th has not been able to streak away from Luigi. And then now that train behind them has seemingly kind of broken up a little bit, but Sergio has not been able to streak away, maybe like we thought that he would have been able to. Mika Happinen, my favorite Finn from the last BES broadcast, sitting right in front of him in 15th.
Oh, he almost cuts that chicane, though. He takes a lot of curb. That mistake has opened the door for Luigi. He looks around the outside of this crest. It's going to switch to the inside of the chicane. And actually, Sergio brakes a little bit on the straight to give him room, which gives an opportunity to David Mata, who has to get out of it to avoid making contact. And this is, it seems like it's a domino effect, as now Mata once again is looking on Alvarez down into the hairpin, but he's not close enough to get that nose in. Every time someone makes a mistake, and look, that train is right back there. Everybody behind is affected. Just a chain reaction. Everybody's looking for an opportunity. Sergio Alvarez, once again, not getting the good traction he needs out of that last chicane. Mata looking to the outside. Going to be a tall ask here. He could get the over-under. Doesn't go for the apex, and he stays in position. That bad exit means that Jordi Clara behind him in the McLaren makes a little bit of a peek around the outside, but gets back into line.
Yeah, I'm feeling this needs to get sorted out here quickly. The faster cars have got to get around. This is a lot of fighting going on for so early in the race.
Behind them, Francisco Esteve has Michael Fabian taking a look.
We got a car in the wall from 15th position. Marcin Spiszek put it in.
Oh, and we almost had, now we've got a wreck. Michael Fabian has turned around. He made a little bit of contact with the roof, and he's still turned around trying to find an opening. There he goes. Now he can get turned around. We're going to look at the replay. Wow, he lost. Oh, he is in dead last now. Now, you can see this was set up with a great run coming out of turn 4, down into the chicane. He looks to the inside. This is, I think this is a fine move, but it all goes south as they go side by side, and he gets a little wheel spin, turns it around, makes contact with that white roof, and he is just stuck there waiting to make sure he's got an opening to get out of the way. And that was Mad Cow Racing Buttercup. That was last week's, or 2 weeks ago's winner at Brands Hatch in the split that we covered. So those guys not having a good race this time around. They started in the mid-pack, and now the only car behind them on the track is Marcin Skrzypak.
And you can get a look at Marcin's car. He's lost his hood. That was the spin that took place at the exact same time you were talking about it. He's in that BMW. He's going to have to bring that in.
Brian, I'm going to have to refer to you for what looks like another Polish name here. Can you help me out on Marcin's name?
I'm going to call that Marcin Skrzypak.
Is there a vowel in there anywhere? Oh my
Skrzypak sounds right.
I mean, you get the CZ. Yeah, I'm going to call it Skrzypak. I'm probably butchering it, but I think my help is a little bit better than anybody else's. So,
and wow, we could see just how much that car was crabbing into a stall. So he's got a lot of work to do. We'll call him Marcin Johnson for this race. How's that? How about that?
That works.
And up at the front, we do have a battle going on. Pepo de las Heras from Iberica is under severe threat from Florian Voith. Now, Florian was in second before, if I wasn't mistaken. Did he lose that position somewhere along the line?
I'll go back and check, but those cars have been in battling up there for a while. Yeah, Florian was in third. Behind well, no, he was in second. You're right. He did lose that position. The guy that you really want to keep an eye on is the car back. Let's see if he's still there. It's the first roof in the field. I believe it's 7th position.
Now, I would think we'd have more roofs up front because a lot of these slow chicanes, these roofs love those acceleration zones with the heavy engine on the back, giving them grip. And speaking of which, you stat with a good run.
There it is. He's been making this move here for a while, but he's on the outside now. I think he's going to be... There he closes the door. Oh, my.
He had
Excuse me. Pardon me. Coming through. Thank you.
He had some trust in Pavel. And I think Pavel also knew that this... You know, there's still 2 hours and 44 minutes left in this race. You know what? He's got some time to try and make this happen. And if he's got a faster teammate, he could just take him back easily later on.
Just food for thought, guys. Is that a little bit of damage on the right front, right behind the right front headlight on the roof there for Lucas? Or is that just a paint scheme?
No, I think... Well, remember he made contact coming through that first chicane on, I think it was like lap... Actually, it was lap 1. With the other McLaren that had spun on lap 2. And that's the side that made contact, so yeah, that seems consistent.
But it hasn't been slowing him down. He's been working on that move for a good 5 or 6, 7 minutes.
And despite the fact that he made that early contact, he started in 8th. and he is up to 6, so it really didn't hurt them too bad. So let's jump back to P9, where we've got Joel Guez and Brad Wooten. We're familiar with Wooten from the MX5 World Tour.
Wooten, an Australian driver.
A little bit late at night for him at the moment. He's driving for Direct Clutch Motorsports, and what is he in? He's in a roof, it looks like. Trying to chase on the McLaren of Joel.
Brian talked about it earlier, but at least in this second split, the mix of cars have been really phenomenal. I mean, that's except for the poor Ford that we don't see anywhere, which I'd sure love to see one in here somewhere because they're so pretty to look at. But it's a nice sprinkling of McLarens and BMWs and roofs.
Absolutely. Good to see that at least with these 3 cars, the balance of power is looking pretty sturdy.
It is a shame, Bill. Them Fords are pretty to look at, and when you get on that loud pedal on those cars, it makes my bikini parts tingle.
I don't think we want to think about that part too much, but just in case you were wondering, Denis Grabowski for Curb Surfers is still leading this race. Pepo de las Heras is in the second podium position, and Florian Voith, who was challenging him, has dropped off and is still in third.
Yeah, lap times across the top 5 are pretty consistent. Nobody's really streaking away from anybody, like what Bill and I were commenting on last night in the World iRacing Class Championship. I'm butchering the name right now.
World Cup?
World Cup, thank you. The World Cup of iRacing. Apparently I need another World Cup of coffee. Where we watched a guy streak ahead by 2.5 to 3 seconds a lap. And right now, everybody's kind of maintaining the same gaps. Everybody's kind of in the 127 to 128 bracket. So that's probably what's keeping these big chains of cars together, is no one's really able to squeak away from the next person.
And Joe and Brian, what we saw at when we did was it a Spa we did the last race? I believe it was, right? Am I correct? Where was this we did?
Brands Hatch.
Brands Hatch, that's right. Driver swaps. I think what you're going to see, most of these drivers right here came back and did the anchor leg. There's probably going to be a middle leg by their partner, and we may see all these guys again to close out the race. That's what they did at Brands Hatch.
Jumping back a little bit, there's been some battling going on between Massimo Era and Stephen McGarvey. That's for 18th and 19th. They were side by side for a couple corners. They're still together, though, and Wim Stockmans of the Gathering of Tweakers team is right behind them, waiting to pick up the pieces. All 3 drivers in roofs. Them in the popcorn position, as we've come to like to call it, thanks to some of the drivers from the Absolute Beginners League.
All right, I didn't understand. Oh, there's a car.
That's
on the side of the road.
Is Dream Factory McLaren. What happened to him? He's waiting for an opening. That was a driver error. Just lost it coming through the chicane. Didn't even touch the curbs.
Well, he touched the curbs, but that's what spun him around. The car, as he got into the first part of the chicane there, the car started to get a little happy, and then he actually caught the second curb, and that's what kicked him around on the spinning side of things.
He's going to cut the course on the second one as well. It's just going from bad to worse for Dream Factory.
I think he's just looking for a place to hide right now.
Probably. Unfortunately, cameras can see him in full view, even between all these trees. We're going to look at the replay. He has been bumped down to 35th position.
Yeah, watch the replay, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. The car gets very squirrely on braking, and then as he starts to go through the corner, it gets loose, and he hits the sausage curbing, and that's what actually kicks the car around.
So sausage curbs take another victim.
But I'm going to give him a tip of the hat there. He sat on the side of the road and waited. I counted 18 cars went by before he pulled out. That takes a lot of discipline to do that.
Now, we saw that with the BMW that had a problem, Michael Fabian for Mad Cow. The thing is, though, is they've got room on the right side. I guess they're making sure that nobody tries to take evasive action on that side, but I feel like I would try and maybe start creeping over to that angle just to get a little more out of the way and maybe use that, there you can see it on screen, the gravel on the right to try and get out of there. These guys know better than we do, though, being out there, what is safe and what is not. Let's jump a little bit farther up the order. Marcus Meyer is trying to put pressure on Vladimir Ozeret's Motor Breath Endurance Team. Excuse me, I'm going to have to practice this name as well. This is for the 11th and 12th position.
Ozeretskowski?
Yeah. Ozeretskowski, I think.
Come on, Joe. You're the leader on nailing those names. I'm like
he's not Finnish.
Ah.
Ozeretskowski sounds about right.
For those of you who watched the World Cup last night, Joe did was lead, and he had those Finnish names down. It was awesome.
Looking through the field to see if there's any other close battles going on, because Marcus doesn't look like he's really within striking distance.
I like the battle for 5th place right now. If we can go ahead and take a look at this, I think the car on the mood is the number 6 car of Lucas Gestat in that roof. He's really been putting the pressure on. I think he's making his way through the field. It's not going to be long. It's the move here.
They were one of the top contenders at Brands Hatch in the race that we saw. So we'll have to see if they can continue to try and climb up the order.
You know, what's different that we see in at least that I see in endurance racing compared to when we do these 45-minute split races? Drivers take a lot longer to set up the pass. They're so much more patient. Lucas could have forced the issue 4 or 5 times. He's just waiting. I guess it could be a nature of the beast of this track as well, where he's waiting for a mistake from the guy ahead of him.
Speaking of which, a great run from Pavel Ledwan. Looking at Lucas Gestat, but he's not going to be close enough when they come to the break into the first chicane. Let's see if he can get himself a good exit. And he does.
He does.
As Lucas takes a little bit too much curb, I think. He's going to be to the left side, which is going to be the outside in this second chicane. But he's not close enough. You know, I think you're right, Bill. We're definitely seeing some patience. And I feel like this is a little bit closer to real-life racing in that way, that you're seeing guys take a little bit more of a thinker's approach instead of just gut reaction here.
Plus, you want to turn that car over to your partner.
Yeah. We ride on board with Pavel.
Brian, what's nice about this series is it mandates that you have a driver change. We've seen driver swaps before where the series will let the driver do it Ironman it the whole way and maybe take a penalty point. If you're going to do it up by yourself here, you get no points. You need to have a partner or you don't score.
Absolutely. I mean, there is the allure of driving all 3 hours to yourself and finding in that rhythm, and that way you kind of hold your fate in your own hand. But with the way that, because this is very, very reminiscent of a lot of actual real-life endurance racing where there is the mandatory driver changing. And with that, you kind of get these varying strategies because you have 2 different personality types and 2 different driver types. So you're going to find maybe one driver is a lot more aggressive into your braking zones. The next one might be a little bit more easy into there. You know, the other thing that we referenced a lot at Brands Hatch was, you know, these guys that are in the car right now, they've got a rhythm. They're figuring out how to get around the corners, how to get around the track, how to avoid them sausage curbs. And the guys that are going to be coming into these cars after the pit stop, they're not quite into that rhythm yet. So, but last week we didn't really see too big of an issue of the second shoe drivers.
On screen, we did see a battle for P14. Luigi Nepolini takes that off of Mika Happenen's hands finally. That was down into turn 1. And it looks like Mika does not have an answer either, so he has got that job done. Luigi's starting to actually stretch away. He must have been held up. Speaking of the stints and the driver swaps, we're about halfway through this first stint, we believe. We understand, at least for the McLaren, we were given some numbers. They're thinking 41 to 42 laps on fuel. These guys are up to lap 19 at the moment. As far as lap traffic goes, we don't have any quite yet. It's been taking a while for them to come back around. Denis Grabowski is still our leader, and the next car up the road is about halfway around the track. Alex Saunders currently trailing the field in 34th.
And the drivers really got a break with the weather. Of course, you know, Belgium is usually pretty cloudy anyway. It's partly cloudy today, 65 degrees. The air temperature, track is only 91 degrees Fahrenheit, so that should help these guys. Shouldn't be too slippery out there.
Yeah, fairly grippy, I would imagine. We're watching the Curb Surfers McLaren still up at the front. Last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, it was a BMW that led most of the way in one with Mad Cow Racing. This time, it's my favorite.
And another thing that the new viewers can watch, we're picking a lot of new viewers today, is they can keep an eye on the dynamic track. As this is a 3-hour race with all these cars out here, you're going to see the groove darken in as this race goes along.
Darken in, and if you watch closely, you might see some marbles, which I think will definitely take an effect in some of these difficult to pass corners if guys get around and lose that grip. Meanwhile, we are back on Vladimir and Marcus, still battling for that 11th position. Motor Breath Endurance team doing a great job withstanding the pressure as they head through that first chicane. Or Izzy takes quite a bit of that curb, but doesn't hurt him too much. And I feel like these chicanes are where the gadgets of these GT3 cars, Bill, are going to very much come in handy, especially that traction control.
Oh, I love the traction control. That should be called Zon foot control, because man, it helps me.
Jumping a little bit farther back in the field, where we see Ryan Otis trying to hold off Michael Fabian, who was sent back, and Fabian looks to the inside of the second chicane. Otis in turn 2 Motorsports backs out of it, and that causes some chaos behind him. Car on its roof. That's Andy Pears for Hellenic Racing. We're going to look at the replay. That got kicked off when that pass ahead of them happened. Andy caught up a lot quicker than he thought he would. There we're going to see it to Efkan Berkey for Team Turkey, and there you can see he did not expect him to be side by side down into that chicane, as he had to slow down, took the opportunity, and then I don't think, he didn't quite give him very much room going to that last part of that chicane. I think that's what caused it. And it looks like he's able to get going again, so I guess he landed on the rubber part of his car. Sounds like there's just a little bit of net code. Definitely squeezed him in there. So Efkan didn't really have a lot of room. He was all the way up to that right side of the track.
There's a battle back here for 5th, and I think it's finally going to resolve itself here between Miko, Lucas, and then Pavel. I think it's going to happen now. Is Mika's on the outside. Is this finally going to happen to Lucas trying to make a look on the inside? Can't do it. Is he going to get the over-under? I think that roof's going to have a drive off the corner as they go down the main straight. Now he's going to look to the inside. Lucas going to the inside. They're side by side, and Mika's going to surrender that spot. No, he's going to go underneath as they go side by side now, as they're going to go into 2.
Mika on the wrong side, but he's going to try and carry the speed around the outside of the corner. And a big wobble from Lucas gives the opportunity to Miko to take it back. Great driving from both of them.
Lucas has been working so hard to get that done. He thought he finally had it done, and then he got a little bit loose and actually almost lost the position to Pavel back in 7th.
Great control from both drivers, and gutsy drive from Miko. for really just not giving up, even though he was on the outside of both of those corners, and it paid off, but he gets a bit of a bad run coming off this first chicane. Lucas isn't close enough to take advantage, and this battling has allowed Juan Jose Sanchez of Odox to try and get up to this group to make it 4.
Yeah, Mika is, I believe he's holding those guys up. Meanwhile, your leader has started to pull away out there. Dennis Gravosky is 5.5 seconds in front.
And it sounds like there was a spin in turn 1. Ryan Otis for turn 2. Motorsports, unfortunately, slotted down a few positions by that. This battle up for P5 still going on. Lucas Yestat pressurizing Miko. Didn't get an opportunity, and coming out with them is Andy Pears. Almost has a moment with Juan Jose Sanchez coming into 2. I can't remember if we talked about that on air, but I know pre-race I was mentioning that exit is very, very dangerous.
Brian, it dumps you right out into the apex of what would that be, guys? 2, right?
Turn 2.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit pre-race, and I was going to try to save some of that before we started getting into the green flag pit stop, but our hand is kind of forced. You know, if you kind of come out of that corner and you might be running a one-screen setup on the car, you're going to have a really hard time trying to get out of there. You really need 3 screens on your gaming rig to really see if you're actually clear. Now, a lot of the top teams might actually have a spotter that could help them out there too. But it's not only the curbs that are tricky. The course designers apparently decided to make pit road entrance and exit that much more difficult.
On the screen, we saw a little bit more of a battle between Yestat, Pavel Ludwin, and Jose Sanchez. And there's no order change. Although Pavel gets a bad entry, I should say, into that last chicane, but his exit was good, and that keeps him safe from Juan coming down the front stretch. Just in front of them, we can see Lucas still trying to do something on Miko.
They are beginning to gather behind Miko now, because now it's Lucas, now it's Pavel, and then it's Juan Jose Sanchez, and now also joining the mix, Brad Wooden, and it won't be long before Joe Guiz gets in there as well. They're stacking up behind Miko.
He is just clinging to that top 5. It's still early in the race, but you got to fight for what you can fight for.
And Joe and Brian, he's not that much slower. That's what's frustrating. He's maybe 0.2 of a second a lap slower, so it's impossible to get around him. But given enough time, these guys are just gathering up behind him.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you're Lucas, you're sitting there trying to figure out the best way around Miko. And if you're Powell there, who's in the popcorn position, you're just sitting back and hoping they take each other out and you can gain 2 spots and not really affect your race at all.
Absolutely. I'm thinking Lucas is probably still just poking and prodding, seeing where the weaknesses are of the Black Star Racing McLaren. And knowing his strengths, he's got a good run here coming out of the last chicane, but once again, just doesn't quite get a good enough run. It's within about a car length, but it'd be a very risky dive from that far back, so he's just got to stay in line. Wow, closes very nicely through turn 2. Unfortunately, this triple right-hander section just really doesn't give you much in the way of opportunities to pass. And there we ride on board with Lucas, as you can see, with him being so close behind the McLaren, just how dirty his windscreen is already, only 40 minutes into this race. He gets a great run coming out of this first chicane, but once again, he elects to back out of it. Seeing if you can maybe get some sort of mistake out of Miko, but nothing doing, as the Finn is just cool as ice out there in that 5th position.
And you could be patient, but after a while, you got to start doing the math. And if you realize you're dropping 2/10, 3/10 a second a lap, and you've been behind him for. He's been behind him for half an hour. The leaders are beginning to pull away.
It's about a 4-second gap. Yeah, they've been losing time since we first started watching this battle. Here now, up to Patrick Pitchler in 4th. So yeah, I think it's time to put the hurry up on Lucas Yustat. You can see Pavel right up behind them as well. I have to agree with Brian that if I'm Pavel, I'm just waiting and seeing, knowing that when these guys make a pass, it's going to slow both of them down a lot. He doesn't really have to do anything right now. He could get 2 and 1 or at least 1 position as soon as something starts to happen.
Yeah, and he was just kind of poking his nose out there as they were leading, heading into the corner there. Just not really trying to make a move, just saying, hey, remember, I'm here.
Remember, if that move doesn't go off for Lucas, that could also hand that position to Pavel.
And we can stay on this battle, but meanwhile, just to update, Curb Surfer now has opened up, it's up to 6-second lead, so Dennis beginning to stretch it out a bit up there.
Now, even though Sanchez is not right on them, you can just see him in the background. Brad Wooten has caught up to the back of that Odox Motorsports roof. So it's almost a 5-car battle. They're a little bit spread out back there.
What's frustrating for announcers is we have to stay on this. I would like Lucas to get this done so we can go somewhere else. I know he's going to do it here any second. You hate to follow it and then pull away and miss it when he finally decides to get it done. But gonna happen pretty soon.
We hope. Boy, I'm really impressed with Mikko though. He's making sure to keep the major mistakes out. He might put a foot wrong just slightly here or there, but not enough to really open the door for Lucas. And it's never really been on exit, which is the critical thing.
No, if anything, he gives up the entry to the corner a little bit to make sure that he gets that good exit, because when you're road racing like this, exit is really the biggest thing that's going to dictate how you're going to get around this track and how you're going to get around, or in Mikko's case, away from people behind you.
This is a good run from Lucas this time. He's going to have a little bit of the draft to help him. He looks to the inside. I don't think he's close enough once again. Going to get that nose right up on that rear spoiler. See if he can get another good exit and make it happen this time. I think he does. Is Mikko going to stay defensive? No, he takes the line. Pavel looks to the inside. But once again, he comes back to the line.
He was not really close enough there to make that move. If he would have dove it in there, that would have been dive bombing the corner.
It's just tantalizingly close, though. It's right on the limit of probably what would be considered a possible move. Let's see what he can do around turn 4. I actually kind of like turn 4 because it's a little bit of an open turn. You really get a chance to try and, if you hit it right, just mash the power and get yourself a good run to this first chicane. GT3 cars weaving their way through those fiddly little chicanes. You can see that line starting to form coming through turn 7. And here especially as well in the chicane, or the hairpin rather.
I think it's safe to say if Lucas could set sail, I really think he's got the... Oh no!
Oh, and contact between Yustat and Sanchez.
And Lucas put it in the wall.
Chicane. Yeah.
Could get around Mikko. He could probably set sail. I really think he's got the... Oh no!
Oh, and contact between Yustat and Sanchez.
And Lucas put it in the wall.
Chicane. Yeah.
Lucas just lost it.
Well, good thing we didn't step away right then. That was accelerating out. Here we're going to see it from the chopper view. Just coming around there, he gets a little squirrely on the exit. And I think a bit of the touch of the dirt also did him in.
That's exactly what he got loose. He saved it, then he got his left side tires in the dirt, and then it turned him right into the tire barrier. Big hit.
And poor Sanchez could just do nothing in that. We're going to watch it on board, excuse me. Early in the race, but not at the very start. That's going to mean a lot of repairs and a lot of positions lost. That's a disappointing end to that battle for Yestat and Sanchez. And Sanchez, his damage has caused him to spin and take a tow as well. Watch the replay on that. Where is this happening? This is the first chicane. Wow, car just veers off into the barrier on the right side under braking. Well, we're going to watch the replay on that. Where is this happening? This is the first chicane. Wow, car just veers off into the barrier on the right side under braking.
Yeah, well, he took a pretty good hit into Lucas. Car probably was not healthy.
Those guys are just tumbling down the order, being put multiple laps down. Just a quick check-in at the front. Denis Grabowski is in first still. He's been leading the whole way. He's about 6 seconds ahead of Pepo de la Heras. In second, Florian Woith still sitting in third. All of the cars are about solidly in that position. Now, we understood that there was a train going on for about P18. In fact, they've caught up with 16th position Massimo Era at the front of that little group. Wim Stockmans in 17th. 18 is Francisco Esteve. Julian Grunestel in 19th. Noya Nagai in 20th. And Claudio Klima in 21st to kind of round out that big group. But they're all a little spread out right now, Bill.
Klima trying to come back. He had that early spin.
So unfortunately, it's not as tight as we saw a little ways up the road that now has spread out thanks to the mistake from Yestat. We're watching.
Go ahead. Oh, okay, I'll go. The viewers have to keep in mind driver swaps are coming, so that kind of shuffles the deck, and you don't know how the next set of drivers are gonna fare. These battles that we're seeing right now that look like they're hard-fought battles between two evenly paced cars, that can all switch when we get a new set of drivers in there.
Absolutely. That's what I was talking about earlier is, these guys that are on the track right now, they've got the rhythm, they've got the ebb and the flow. These guys coming into the track, they'll be jumping into the cars off of pit stops. They haven't built up that muscle memory yet. So they're coming into this race cold.
We'll see which one is the proverbial joker in all of this when they get to switch out in about 15 minutes time, probably. We expect most teams are going to be employing an evenly split strategy of taking the pit stop about on the hour. We'll see which one tries to mix that up. We look at Patrick Bachelard in 12th currently. He is being hounded by Mika Happinen. Mika with a pretty good run coming out of that first chicane down into the second. Still waiting for an opportunity, just getting the car set up, seeing if he can put himself in a position to take advantage in case a mistake happens. This is one of the closest battles on track currently. Everybody else is mostly spread out.
Well, the other thing that, going back to the pit stop thing, the way that pit road is set up here, the entrance to pit road, you have to overshoot the last corner. So if you're the guy, I'm trying to think how I want to say this. If you're going to pit, I think that you want to make sure that the guy in front of you knows that you're going to pit. So either you're going to back down and slow down, or so you either slow down for the corner, and then once the driver in front of you makes the corner, you just speed up and hit pit road. Or if that message doesn't get sent or transmitted, then we're going to jump up to 5th place.
Oh, and that was Pavel finally making an overtake on
Yep.
Mikko Niittymaki. And in fact, because of that, he's lost another position with Brad Wooten, who's taken advantage. They're side by side into the second chicane, and Brad overshoots it. He's going to have to cut the corner. He's going to slow down. He makes contact with Mikko. Mikko tries to get back on course, and Mikko might have gotten a slowdown as well in trying to avoid him. And they're still side by, well, they're not side by side, but they're still together after both cars getting a slowdown from that battle.
Yeah, after Lucas left the battle, Pavel was then forced to be behind Mikko, and Pavel just dived it into the chicane with the late braking move. I think that BMW can really dive it in there better than the Lucas's car was able to do.
Well, that was
Better
side
than
by
Roof.
side. That was side by side contact between Mikko and Brad. Hopefully, they didn't get too damaged. We'll find out as they continue to drive the lap. We've seen another McLaren make that side by side contact with another Roof as well, and not come out very good in this part coming up. All these right-handers. Looks like Mikko's car is handling decently, so maybe it was just a glancing blow. With that battling, though, behind them, Joel Guez for Vortex Sim Racing Blue has managed to gain ground. He might get up into this fight.
Now, meanwhile, Pavel in 5th place has now a 2.5 second lead back to 6th, so you can tell how much he was being held up, even though there was a little contact behind him. He can finally set sail after following those guys for 40 minutes.
He's put the popcorn aside, and now he's buckling down now that he's got clear track. 7 seconds up to Pitchler in 4th, but the patience and an aggressive move down into the first chicane has paid off great dividends for a top 5 finish on the cards at the moment, but still very early days. And look at this battle behind them, still looking like it is very much on Mikko, trying to hold off Brad Wooten, the Australian, seeing what he can get out of the fin. Very good under braking in that Roof. Brad Wooten down into turn 2. Closes up nicely. Here we ride on board with him. What a great pairing. The Australian fiery driving versus the cool as ice Finnish driving. Looks down into that first chicane. Can he get the car turned in? Last time he tried this, he cut the chicane, but this time, Brad gets it done.
Something I've been noticing as race is going on, it seems like the Roofs are able to curb serve better than any other car. They can really let those the right side tires, the left side tires, depending on which corner it is, they can really let those things get air, and it doesn't seem to affect them at all.
The thing that I would worry about in the Roof, though, is that it's known for what some drivers call porpoising, where just the front end won't want to connect. It's because the Roof has that rear engine, and that's what I would think would happen with those curbs, but I guess it's not affecting them too much around here.
Which is one of the things that I've noticed as this race has gone on.
So, Brad Wooten up into 6th. Now, where did he start this race? 17th for Direct Clutch Motorsports. Those guys have been on a charge. In fact, I think that's the biggest leap that we're seeing right now.
And remember,
17th to 6th.
right,
Wow.
with driver swaps, it's possible that Brad may come back and do the anchor leg as well. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Meanwhile, Mikko now, who was running in 5th, has dropped down to 7th, and I think he's next up is Joe Guez going to make a run on him.
Got a battle on screen for P13. Excuse me, P12. Patrick Bachelard just lost that to Mika Happinen, managed to get his way by. And he is still behind Luigi Nepolini, but by quite a ways. Those two were battling earlier on in the race.
Guys, something I want to point out, if we could go and jump on board with Michael Fabian. Remember, that was a team that was so dominant last week at Brands Hatch, and he had the incident earlier in this race, and he restarted dead last on that. He's moved his way up to 23rd already, and the lap times that he's been cutting have been 2/10 off of the leader. And so this being able to charge up from wherever he came back out, basically dead last, 35th, 36th, he's up to 23rd. Now, given there's been some other attrition that's helped out of there, but that car doesn't seem too wounded, and I guarantee you, and with Michael, he is driving a little bit angry, a little bit chip on his shoulder, and I know me personally, if I'm mad in the driver's seat, I'm worth at least 2 extra tenths a lap.
And we rode on board for a little bit with Fabian. You could see on the hood there is some damage there, so it's not a perfectly clean cow out on the track. But I don't think a win is on the cards. We'll have to see what the rest of the race holds. Maybe they could get up to a top 10. We'll have to see what kind of attrition plays out ahead of them. But they were set back a long ways. I guess we'll have to wait and see what they can milk out of that mistake.
That was good. That was clever right there.
And we didn't get a groan from my director, so it wasn't good enough. Meanwhile, we're on 14th. That's Stephen McGarvey and David Mata, both in roofs.
And for those scoring at home, or even if you're watching alone, there are 3 cars that are out. Pure Racing has 4 teams in this race. They've lost both 2 teams. They've lost team 113 and 114 are both out. Trident Racing has red team is also called it a day. But to follow up on Pure Racing, they do have the number sitting in number 3 and number 4 right now.
Coming down the main stretch, David Mata still able to hold on to that 14th position. Stephen McGarvey just seeing what he can find in terms of holes in the armor. Waiting patiently. He's very close. Wow, once again, look at him close up in 2, and this might be his opportunity. He sticks his nose in around 3, and it looks like Mata knows that the gig is up, and he gives up the ghost.
Do you want to know how I know that we're getting close to pit stop, boys?
Okay.
More mistakes happening?
Nope. I'm watching the driver chat, and I'm seeing a whole bunch of new names that are connecting.
Always a good sign. And a battle for 23rd as they go side by side in that first chicane. And that was that Fabian overtaking Sergio Alvarez? So
Yes,
Fabian
it was.
making another move.
Don't put that cow out the pasture just yet.
Oh, we're in for a long race, I can tell.
That was utterly horrible.
Oh.
We got to save some for later in the race,
Okay.
guys, so don't use them up all now.
We're only an hour into it, and I can already hear our producers running.
And Julian Grunestel stops in with 2 hours and 4 minutes left to go. That's MSP Drivers Home 4. Let's see who gets in the car, or if he even makes a driver change. Yeah, speaking of with the size of this field, I'm surprised we haven't seen a few female drivers sprinkled throughout. Gregory Tansen hops into that MSP Drivers Home 4 roof. And there you can see another car behind him taking a stop, Efkan Berke for Team Turkey. And he is being replaced by Fezzikan Ozkan. I'm going to try and take a stab at that name. These guys are from the international group, so not sure what country they're from. Gonna guess Turkey. I'm not sure which club they belong to. Meanwhile, look at this close battle for 16th on screen. Massimo Era trying to hold off Wim Stockman still. And Stockman's, everybody else besides Stockman's is heading into the pits. Massimo coming in for his stop, Francisco Esteve.
Such an interesting pit entrance because you can actually just fly into the pit entrance there because it's straight in, while you actually pass the cars that are on track, slowing down to turn left.
Yeah, Brian was talking about that earlier. You got to be really careful about that.
And then as Bill referenced, when you buy 3 chicanes and get 1 free, they didn't know where to put it, so they put it right on pit lane.
Every so many tracks we talk about needing to practice pit entry and pit exit, and that is very true if you want to maximize the amount of time. Here we're looking at Benjamin Lindsay and TNT Racing Gold. Ooh, I love the paint scheme on that McLaren. Very nice. Beautiful yellow accents. He is being chased by Ray Alfala behind them.
I think that goes to show you just how strong the field is here. For some of our viewers that may have paid attention to the peak antifreeze World Cup racing, the stock car side of things, Ray Alfala is a 2-time champion of that series, and here he is over on this side running the road course in the Blancpain, and he's not a bad driver, and not being higher up in the standings, it just goes to show you just how strong this field is.
Actually, I believe Ray even competed on the professional side of road on iRacing at the top level. Back when I think it was still in the IndyCar. I'll have to try and get some confirmation on that, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him in those races long ago. So he's not, even though he was at the top level on oval, he's not too bad at the roadside too. So you're right, it's just an incredible depth of talent over here. With all the driver swaps going on, this is...
Leader is in.
All right. So Dennis Grabowski for the Curb Surfers. Who is going to take over? Looking on their team, it looks like Ilya Molotovskishov. Yes, Ilya Smith. There we go.
Ilya Smith.
Some other cars exiting around him, including a car behind him heading in, Pepo de las Heras, who was in second. Now, I haven't seen Dennis get out of the car yet, so I think Dennis is going to do the second stint. Meanwhile, behind them, John Omkala for Iberica Racing Zalem has taken over. Couple more cars coming in. Vladimir for Motor Breath Endurance has stopped. Mercifully, Dennis Grabowski is going to stay in the car and save our tongues. Sergio Alvarez is in. Florian Voith has headed into the pits along with his teammate Patrick Pitchler. Pitchler we're familiar with from a few other endurance series in the McLaren. Those blue and black cars we're used to seeing up front. Very powerful in that McLaren GT3 machine. Just ahead of them, Patrick Bachelard is coming out. Has stayed in the car for Phoenix Motorsports Orange. And wow, pit lane is very busy now as we look at Pavel finally coming in for his stop. Brad Wooten is in for Direct Clutch Motorsports. Now
what we'll want to do is find Curb Surfer here because the The guys who are running in third and fourth have come in for Pure Racing Team 112 and 111. Maybe we can find Curb Surfer and see him come around. He should be able to regain the lead, the virtual lead.
Once our leaders pit, though, Wim Stockmans is still out there. Noya Nagai is still out there. Michael Fabian has elected to stay out with Mad Cow Racing. Jordi Clara still out on track in fourth. Grabowski is now cycled up into the top 5.
Yeah,
Comes out just behind Kevin Brown in Turn 2 Motorsports, who's now down in 31st after their earlier spin.
But what he has done, he has actually gone around the cars that have already made the pit, so he's the leading car of all the cars that have pitted.
And he's actually increased his lead, too. Before that,
right.
I think they were running right about a 7-second lead. Now it's to about a 9-second lead.
We're seeing the leader having to deal with traffic now. Is Brown going to pull over? No, it looks like Grabowski's going to have to make a move. Pushes him aside. Kevin gives him room. Continues on. So we're starting to see how these driver swaps are playing out. Now we're going to see who has the pace compared to their teammate. How this is going to switch things up. Wim Stockmans continues to stay out. However, Mad Cow Racing has elected for a driver change, taking that now with Philip Janssen van Rensburg taking that car over. Tomoki Kono is into the Flat 6 Racing team, taking over for Nagai. So when is Stockman's going to come in? Looks like they're electing for a slightly longer first stint in that roof. As he comes around the hairpin, let's see if Stockman's comes into the pits this time by.
There we go.
There he goes. All right. That should be all of our leaders in then. The order now that the pits have gone through. Curb Surfers are still leading. Grabowski in the car. Iberica Racing Zalem is in second. John Oncala is racing in that machine. Andreas Almensberger, there's a driver we've seen before as well for Pure Racing Team, sitting in third. And Bob Van Katwijk is going to take over in the Gathering of Tweakers machine. All the European names that a bunch of Americans have to deal with, I think we can deal with Bob.
It's a welcome breath of air.
And we've had Bob on the broadcast before. We've done a few Gathering of Tweakers events. Good to see them again. He's sliding down the order, though, as he takes on fresh fuel and tires. Looks like he might cycle out into 14th here. Patrick Bachelard is going to overtake him. Massimo Era as well. Actually, a few more cars. So he is going to be down into 17th potentially here. Just behind Andy Pears and almost makes contact with Francisco Estevez. He exits out. Francisco with his head on a swivel and manages to avoid Bob Van Katwijk's roof out there. Let's see if he tries to overtake him. This is for position for 17th. Doesn't make a move down to that first chicane, but he cuts the corner. Katwijk is going to have to give that up, I think. Absolutely plowed through there. He's not slowing down, though. Estevez had some issues on the exit as well. And just behind them, this is also for position, Santeri Kalunki for Core Racing. Closed up on the back of them. Another mistake from Katvik coming out of the corner. That's going to open the door for Esteve. He looks to the inside, down into the hairpin, gets it done. That was for 16th position, it looks like. Oh, but what's going on there? Katvik is back into the pits. Did he damage his...
Well, I'm wondering if he cut that corner and never yielded, if he's having to serve a black flag now.
Ooh, that could be. I was going to suggest maybe he's got some damage from going over the curb. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that might be a black flag. I'm not sure why he didn't just slow down, though. This is hurting him way more than just giving up a couple seconds.
I believe that was a 15-second penalty, judging by his pit stop time.
That hurts. That hurts. Along with the bogey that you take from having to go into the pits and come out of the pits, running at that pit speed limit. Meanwhile, looking at 9th place, Kim Eriksson. He's taken over for Mikko Niittymaki, and still he has not been able to get away from the Trinity Motorsports McLaren. Simon Grossman has taken over there. These two have been battling for a while. Actually, I think maybe I'm calling that wrong. It was Blackstar that they were battling with, I think. Still about an hour and 50 minutes left on the clock here at Zolder. Welcome if you're just joining us. Been a great race so far. Plenty of mistakes has opened up opportunities for fantastic battles throughout the field despite the difficulty in passing. Had at least one car on its lid at one point. A few cars into the wall. And I think I mentioned this, or at least I was trying to at one point earlier in the race and didn't get to really follow through on my thought as we continue to watch this battle, was that we've seen a lot more aggression this time around than we expected at Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch was a little more tame at the start of the race. And in this race, it seems like guys have been really sticking their nose in.
Absolutely. This is pretty much give no quarter, take no quarter racing. There hasn't been a whole lot of, here you go, no, you go. And everybody has really just been, hey, I'm here, move. And knowing that, and I think it's really a product of this track, is because if you put the driver in front of you to the high side or outside of the driving line, they're going to have to give up the spot because they're either going to find a curb, find the kitty litter, or find the wall.
We were watching a battle for 25th on screen, 25th and 24th. Raul Diago and David Williams. Williams has taken over and the TNT machine, and it sounds like he actually had a spin earlier, which has caused him to be in that battle. I'm not sure if we caught that on screen. Let's see if we can get a replay. This is into the first chicane. Let's see. Looks like a little bit too much curb on the exit. And did he hit the wall?
Oh.
I think he did.
David Williams, the fighting Marine we know from the Pac Majors events.
Sitting down in 24th at the moment.
Joe, just to look at
25th, excuse me.
to look at the top five here, we can stay on there, but just to run down what's going on in the top five. Curve surfers are back out in front, and they now have a 9-second lead. But what's interesting here is they're going with their first driver. Gravoski is still staying out there. Now that's going to put a lot of pressure on. He has a partner. It's Aya Marovishikov, who's going to have to
and
come
we've
in.
got a battle for P4 actually up at the top. Michael Shellbach is trying to hold off Pavel Ledwan.
Right now,
go ahead.
Pavel is the other driver in the top 5 that also run the first leg, so he didn't do a driver switch either. So Curb Racing and Trident Racing are both going with their number 1 drivers for the first 2 stints. So it's hard to say what they have in store, what's left for them, because their swap mate is going to have to come in. Going to peek to the inside, not going to get it done.
Very tight move into that first chicane. Both drivers managing to escape without incident. Pavel really on the move. He's managed to get up into the top 5, and he wants a little bit more. And I think he's got the pace over Michael here, because he is just hounding him. He is very good under the brakes in that BMW. Just look at how much he closes as we ride on board on the dashboard. Whew. Actually, I think he had to get out of it there coming into 2. Didn't expect to close that much. See if he can do it again. This is where he set it up last time with a great run off the corner. He gets a good run. But this time, Shellbach goes defensive, comes back to the line, sees that he's not close enough for an attack. Oh, but he gets wheel spin with that curb, just clatters off of it. That's going to hurt his exit. Pavel looks to the outside, coming to the second chicane. He outbrakes him going in, but I don't think he's going to be able to have it. No, he slots behind.
We saw Pavel make a pass early in the race. He likes to do it on the first chicane. That was his favorite spot where he got it done before.
Oh, here he goes down into the hairpin, just has a nose in, but gets chopped off. That was ever so close, just inches between them coming into that apex. But he's close coming off the corner. He could try it into this last chicane. Michael goes defensive. Can he get the run off? It's going to be close, tries to get the power down. Traction control probably working hard in that BMW, but just not enough to be close enough for a pass down in the first corner. Oh, that's got to be frustrating with how he closes up under braking every single time.
What he does do, he gets a good drive off of 4. Let's stay with us a little while longer and watch what he can do off of 4 and as he goes into the first chicane.
Riding on board with Shellbach, looking back under the spoiler.
Right here.
Oh, that's a great run. He is right on top of him. Shellbach knows it. He stays defensive. If I'm Pavel, I think I'm going to look on the exit, brake a little bit earlier. Going to be a horrible line from Michael into there, but he, wow, beautifully executes an offline defense into that first chicane.
It's going to be hard to make the pass there if the McLaren can take that defensive line and still get out of that chicane so well. That was nicely done.
Thought for sure that he would just have an atrocious exit. He goes defensive this time. He knows that he's going to try it, and he closes very well under braking, tries to pull the over-under, but can't quite get the exit. Is Shellbach going to go defensive once more? Yes, he does. Pavel goes with him, tries to force his hand back to the line for Pavel. Going to go for that over-under, get himself the exit, and he gives him a bump. And gets wheel spin for good measure, loses his ground. Now, did that give him damage? Let's see if we can get a close-up on Pavel, because that was a nice little shove.
I'm looking at the front of his car. It looks pretty good.
As the oval guys like to say, pulled out the chrome horn a little bit, trying to give him the hurry up. It's a little... Looks a little bent
crumpled up front.
Yeah. Didn't get the exit off of 4 this time. Down to the chicane. Once more, this time Shellbach not needing to take that defensive line. But Pavel looking very, very quick through that chicane. This battle, if you're just joining us, is for the 4th position. Pavel on his second stint, Shellbach on his first stint of today. Thought I saw a little bit of a bobble from Michael coming out of the hairpin there. But once again, just not enough for Pavel to try and sneak a peek down into the last chicane. Every single time he gets held up mid-corner. I'm not sure if Michael's doing that on purpose, trying to just back him up so that he can't get himself a run.
Now, Pavel sees in his rearview mirror that Brad wouldn't be able getting to close on this. He's going to want to get this done pretty soon, or this is going to get even more complicated.
Ooh, he's very close now, coming through 3. If he gets another good run coming through 4 here. Oh, he actually looks to the inside of 4, but that's going to hurt his exit. Oh, I don't know why he looked into there. I thought he was so close. This would be a great opportunity. I think he got a little bit too antsy, had the red mist come down, and got a great run through that chicane once again, though. Is he going to try it down into the second chicane? Michael held to the right side. Just about in the middle of the road, trying to make that McLaren nice and wide. And no opportunity once again for the Triton Racing BMW. By the way, if any of the teammates are watching this broadcast, we do mid-race interviews for these driver swap races, so come on into our team speak. We'd love to talk to you in the booth, hear about how it's going out there on track. Ooh, once again, a bobble by Shellbach. That time I don't think it was intentional. And Pavel has to check up mid-corner. Sounds like we have a bit of battle going on for P16. In fact, they're side by side. Daniel Garcia Domingo managing to overtake Santeri Kalunki. And in fact, Kalunki has to slow down. Did he get a cut course somewhere?
It was on exit of that corner. He kind of straight shotted the chicane and not really made corner 9 that nicely. So that's, I believe, where he had to slow down for.
Meanwhile, Shellbach defensive once again on screen down into that first chicane. This time he isn't able to execute it cleanly. Pavel gets his opportunity, streaks on past. Now we've got Brad Wooten on Michael. Is he going to look to the inside? Michael goes defensive down into the second chicane. Wooten has no answer.
Yeah, that first chicane finally got him there. He could only take that strange defensive line in there so many times before it finally
And
bit
here
him.
goes Wooten with
Wooten.
a great run. Michael goes to the defensive line and he goes back to the line. 2 moves is not going to make Wooten happy. He just about makes contact down to the hairpin, but manages not to turn him. Whew, ever so tight. Michael was making some risky defensive moves there.
That's the first time I saw him do something a little bit questionable. He went to the inside, then came back to the outside. Wooten now with a good run down the main straight. Oh, he's going to have a great entry from this angle. Oh, he gets loose, though.
Wooten is being very aggressive, but he gets some wheel spin coming off the corner. I think it's going to be a matter of time. Wooten is a lot more aggressive than we saw from Pavel.
Yes, he is.
Boy, I give credit to Pavel because he was extremely patient as Wooten takes a little bit of a peek in the first chicane, but just more of a psychological move. Gets a great exit. Trying to figure out which way Michael is going to go. Michael just about takes the middle of the track. Wooten, is he going to look to the inside? He tries to take a look, but he runs out of room. A little bit of a tip. And still Shellbach holds on to it, trying to claim that 5th position. But I was going to say, Pavel, he just kept waiting and waiting, would stick his nose in, but it was like he was waiting for just that perfect chance, and when it finally came, he pounced.
Yeah, we talked about the front of Pavel's car. You know, Shellbach's rear bumper's beginning to take quite a little pounding too.
Already 2 contacts with Wooten. That is the Australian grit that Mark Webber loves to talk about. Wooten giving us a show.
Meanwhile, once Powell got around Michael, he has checked out away from that battle. Said, "See you guys.
Oh, there he goes.
You guys can go ahead and run the."
Oh! Wooten made contact side by side this time. Shellbach tries to hold on to it. His car actually caught air. We're going to look at the replay here, and he's losing multiple positions. He is already down to 10th. This is coming through turn 2. A great run by Wooten. Just sticks his nose in, gets it in there, and he gave him room initially. I think Wooten tracked out a little bit. There's a little bit of a racing incident, I think.
Shellbach gave him room, but not a lot of room.
I think he didn't expect him to track out that quickly, and there you can see the car just hops up, and that's really what set him off. Manages to just keep it off that inside wall. Hopefully he didn't have damage from that touch. He's still holding on to 10th. He's behind Kim Eriksson in the Black Star Racing Machine, who's actually, so when we weren't looking, was overtaken by Simon Grossman in Trinity Motorsports.
That was a case of two different angled of track outs, and when you have such a shallow entry, it's hard to keep that car. Wooten had a hard time keeping that car in.
Absolutely.
Shellbach with a much better, wider entry line.
Now let's talk about Motor Breath Endurance, because Vladimir's team started in 14th, and they are currently in 7th now. So they have been moving up quite a bit as well, having a great race up there.
And direct clutch. Did we talk about that? We talked about the drive up there, 17th to 5th now for direct clutch.
About 6 more minutes. We are going to be halfway through this race. So, the order now. Curb Surfer still leading with Grabowski in the car. John Oncala still in second for Iberica Racing Zalem. Andreas Almensberger is up to third for Pure Racing number 111. And Shellbach's troubles are compounding now. Has another spin. I wonder if that's because of the damage that he got. Let's look at the replay on that. That's lost him a couple more positions. And that looked like that was driver error, actually. Tail end just came out on him.
It was a very slow and lazy spin. The car didn't really spin one way or the other too fast. It just kind of rolled over to the other side. We'll jump up to 16th here.
Side-by-side action. Santeri Kolunki and Daniel Domingo. We saw them battling before. I believe Domingo can't get the good exit off of the corner. Martin Solari for ART is going to look to the outside down into turn 1. He's got a nose just beside him, but I don't think he's going to have an opportunity. He carries the speed pretty well. Is he going to take a look in onto 2? He tries and sticks his nose in once more, but does not have the opportunity. Behind him, Francisco Estevez for Odox, trying to see if he can get something out of this battle ahead of him in the popcorn position. I think he's going to get a good run off the corner, but so does Martin. And still, all 3 of these cars are together with Domingo up ahead. Great outbraking maneuver from Solari, and actually completely clean through the chicane. Impressive stuff. Solari did not wait around. That moves Solari up into 16th. Ahead of them, the car that was fighting for 15th earlier was Kolunki and Corsim Racing. He has streaked away from those guys after that battle.
Yeah, actually, that battle is there's a battle for P20 we just heard from our director, but actually that's stretching out. Kono is beginning to pull away. And Kev, keep an eye on Tomoki Kono here running in 20th position. We saw him last race where he was incredibly fast in one stint. It will not be long till he's up there with in that battle for 18th, 17th, and 16th there. He's about 10 seconds back.
Which is still very close. Esteve trying to do something on Domingo. He couldn't quite get the exit out of turn 4. He was very close earlier on. Closes up under the braking for the first chicane. Now on the exit, just about a car length behind. But it's going to take a wild dive to do anything into this second chicane. So the order, Solari 17th, Domingo 18th, and Esteve in 19th. Esteve's car is looking very solid on the brakes, really closing up, and they're both roofs. So that's got to be down to setup and driver behind the wheel. He is really pushing that car, trying to get the power down. Can't seem to close up on Daniel. Gonna wait and see how this battle plays out, then we're gonna take a quick break here for a moment. This looks very solid on the first part of this course. This time Domingo has a threat with Esteve getting a good run. He takes a little bit of a peek, backs out of it though. Unfortunately, a bad exit puts that one to bed for a little while. So we are going to take a short break here at GSRC. We're going to come back to the action and bring you the latter half of round 3 of the Blancpain Endurance Series qualifiers. Welcome back to Zolder, where we're watching round 3 of the Blancpain Endurance Series qualifiers here on iRacing. On screen a little bit ago during the break, you saw Michael Shellbach still struggling. There's our leader, though, Denis Grabowski, off the curb surfers. He's been leading this whole way, hasn't yet to hand over the car to a teammate. We're assuming he's going to once they make their second stop. Most teams electing to use 2 drivers. Some might use a third. We'll have to wait and see. John on call. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
What's interesting, Joe, is the top 5. Three of the teams in the top 5 have not made driver switches yet. So, while it looks like curb surfers have this thing well under control, they're 13 seconds ahead. We don't know what's in the pocket of this team, what they got in store when they come to their next driver.
Exactly. That's going to potentially shake things up. Second place, in case you're just joining us and wondering about the order, John Oncala for Iberica Racing Zalem, Andreas Almensberger for Pure Racing Team number 111. That order has been pretty much the same for a while, but the one that's been swapping back and forth is about 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pavel Ledwan for Triton Racing is up to 4th. He's been making an incredible charge through the field with great battles. He's just been giving us fantastic stuff. Brad Wooten all the way up into 5th from 7th place. However, give a thought to Joel Guez for Vortex Racing. Excuse me, 17th to 5th for Brad Wooten. So I got that mixed up. It's Vortex Sim Racing for Joel Guez, who is 7th to 6th. So he's still been traveling up the order. Motor Breath Endurance from 14th to 7th. Also a great run from Vladimir there in that car. Simon Grossman currently sitting in 8th. They started in 11th. They've also been moving upwards. Black Star Racing, who you may have noticed if you were watching earlier, have got a different paint on now, I believe. They've sent us theirs. So we've updated that for you guys. Thankfully, they have started at 9th, sitting at 9th, so nothing gained, nothing lost. And Team GT BES, they started 17th. They're currently, started 18th. They're currently sitting in 10th. And Ricardo Chiavon is in the car right now for them. So there's your top 10 out on the track after an hour and 40 minutes.
Now, it's hard to say we have a battle for 3rd when it's a 6-second difference, but what's been going on between 3rd and 4th, and even 5th place with Brad Wooden hanging in there too. Pavel Ludvan has been able to really close the gap on 3rd place Andres Almensberger. Before we went to break, the gap was 8 seconds. We've come back to break now. It's down to 6.5 seconds. So maybe even before the next driver swap, this is going to be interesting for a battle for 3rd. We'll keep an eye on it as it's closing down now. 6.3 seconds. Boy, he's really knocking off some time, is Pavel.
He's going to have to keep the mistakes down. He's coming up on a teammate of Almensberger, though, Maximilian Benecki, for Pure Racing 113. Now, remember, Maximilian was the one that started on pole at Brands Hatch in the race that we covered. We found out what happened there. Apparently, he tried to register with his team, and there must have been some sort of error either on his side or on iRacing's side where it made him join as just himself. And since you need a teammate, he elected to exit out of the race instead of disturbing what's going on up front. This time he is with Pure Racing Team 113, although currently in 35th, so not the best of races, unfortunately, for Maximilian.
Kind of jumping back up and looking at Powell, the reason he's closing down, his lap times, the last 2 laps at least, have been 0.6 quicker than Andreas. So when you're running that fast, that much faster, it's just natural that you're going to catch him. Now, we're probably in the ballpark of 20 to 25 minutes away from pit stops. So with the 1.5-minute lap, that puts you about 12 laps until your next pit stop. So you kind of keep up that gap. I think Bill was onto something. When he gets up there, he's going to get there if he keeps this pace up by the time that it cycles around the pit stops. Now, catching them, and Bill has a wonderful analogy for this, I'll let him tell it, but catching the guy in front of you and then passing is a totally separate issue.
It's like milking a rooster The hard part starts after you catch him.
And he has been catching. It's now under 6 seconds, 5.7 we're seeing on our timing and scoring for Pavel. I'm wondering if, depending on if his teammate is fast, you know, if he could catch him and then make that driver swap, take his second pit stop, he could do it under strategy and get up onto the podium position. Let's jump back to P9. Kim Eriksson and Black Star still being chased down by Ricardo Schiavon. It's a little ways back, so he's not able to do anything right now in that white roof. That black and purple McLaren has certainly been in some battles today. We've watched them a couple times with a few different people. Why don't we ride on board with Ricardo and see what he can do as he tries to close in on that McLaren.
That camera view that we're riding on with Ricardo right now, that's one of my favorite camera views. Just being off to the right of the driver, just a smidgen. You can really see the full extent of how they're having to work the steering wheel. You're seeing the troubles with the curbs. You're kind of seeing a little bit of everything while feeling like you're right in the seat there.
Speaking of being in the seat or out of the seat, once again a reminder, if any of the teammates are watching, definitely come and jump on our TeamSpeak. We posted on the BES forums with a post that has our address. We'd love to come and talk to you and see how things are going for the drivers out there, and give us some information potentially and help the viewers get an idea of what it's like out on the track. Plus, we need some company in the booth. We only have Amjad here.
Yeah, Andres Almensberger's lead now from between third and fourth is down to just about 5 seconds. I think Pavel Ludwin is going to be able to get there even before the driver changes. Things keep being, if he keeps chunking into this lead like he's doing.
I think the bigger problem, though, Bill, is that he's got to find a way to get around Maximilian. His lap times have dropped off about 3/10 ever since he's caught up to the back and been able to get up there.
And remember, I said that Maximilian is on the same team as Andreas, and there goes a look from him. He should be getting blue flags. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, if Maximilian shuts the door, that's a little rude for being a back marker. Once that pass is initiated, you really should probably give way if you're a lap down.
Now that Powell is clear, I think we're really going to start seeing that gap to shrink now.
Yeah, knowing that he lost a little bit of time, he's probably going to be hurrying up even more. In fact, it's already down to 5 seconds.
Even in a kind of a lofty goal scenario, he's running quicker lap times than Dennis up there in the lead.
Let's see, what has he got as far as the gap goes?
31 seconds, according to my timing and scoring.
Now remember, Pavel is going to have to get out of the car. We don't know what his teammate has got. Let me see if we can see. Arkadiusz Pollock is going to be taking over for him, it looks like. An interesting pairing, a UK driver and a Central Eastern Europe driver. Usually we tend to see drivers from similar clubs teaming up together. It's been a bit of an odd couple.
It's a small world, baby, small world.
And there you can see Pavel already streaking away from Maximilian.
And it is what Brian was saying. It is Pavel being quick, because not only is he gaining on the car ahead of him, he's also pulling away from Brad Wooden, who's in 5th place. So Ludwin's on a roll. He is flying.
Yeah, he's He's 3/10 up on even second place time. And definitely gaining time on Andreas there.
Let's jump back to P10 because I see that Ricardo is getting pretty close up to Kim. Takes a little bit of a peek down into turn 1. In fact, Kim gives him room, goes a little wide. This is going to be an opportunity. Ricardo looks to the outside of turn 2. It's very hard to do it there, though. Comes back to the line, gets balked at the apex. Still manages to keep his speed up. Very good around turn 3. Is he going to peek into 4? It's not usually a passing place. Decides to let go of it. Elects for a better run out of the corner, and that was the right decision because look at him now. Takes a look down to the inside of the first chicane. Tries to outbrake the McLaren and does so cleanly, but can he get it slowed down? Just barely. And Kim has to take evasive action not to get into the back of that roof. Aggressive, but nicely done move by Schiavon.
Just behind that battle is my favorite Finn, Mika Happinen. Started 19th on the day, worked his way very slowly and very steadily up to 11th place. He's just sitting back there in popcorn position. He was probably waiting for them to all wad up coming out of the second chicane there.
Sounds like a TV series you need to pitch. My favorite Finn.
Yeah, we can work with that.
Happinen currently sitting in 11th. Where did he start this race? In 19th. So Happinen has been slowly working his way up the order for Nitor below. I believe Mika actually started this race in that team. Actually, I have the ability to check that. Yes, he did. Mika has been in the car this whole way so far. In fact, we're about 15 minutes away from when we think a bunch of the next driver swap should start taking place.
And let me take a second to paint another story for you here. If we can go back to 17th position, back to Francisco Esteve. Currently running 17th, 3 seconds up ahead of him now, ahead of Daniel Domingo. All right, no big deal there, right? But those guys have been holding station. Drop back one more position, and we go back to, if I can find him there, so it should be Shellback, I believe.
Yep.
There we go. Who has fallen back considerably from what was going on before him. But that's really not what I want to talk about. We go back one more position, and it's Tomoki Kono. He's gaining on Shellback. He's gaining on all those cars ahead of him. I'm not sure if he's going to have time to get there before the driver swap, but remember, Kono came in on the second stint, so it's feasible he can stay out there and run stints 2 and 3. And we know that he's fast. We saw what he did at Brands Hatch in the one stint that he was there.
Now, what's interesting, though, is he did the middle stint last time as well and then got back
and
out
came
of the
out.
car. You
Right.
know. And we saw the guy wasn't actually a lot slower than him. It was maybe a tenth or two.
And if we stay on Kono right now, this will be interesting because right behind him, we have our leader. So Kono's about to be lapped. If we stay on this a little bit longer.
I bet you don't expect to say that one very often.
I don't think I've done a lot of Tomoki Kono. I don't think I've ever said Tomoki Kono is about to be lapped. Yeah, I'm checking off my bucket list there.
Now, let's check in on Pavel as well. That is down to 3.7 seconds between himself and Almensberger. It is going to be very tight, I think, on whether or not he can get to him before the stops. That's probably going to be critical because if they can make that pass happen during the pit stops instead of out on track, that'll save them a lot of time.
And Kono does surrender that spot, so now he does drop a lap down, which means that we have 19 cars on the lead lap right now.
Still a fair few.
That's going to drop quickly because that curb surfer is going to be coming up on cars. Boom, 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 boom. You're going to knock 3 or 4 of them off here real quick.
Like you said earlier, that next cars that he needs to worry about would be Shellbach, Domingo. We've got Woodhouse, who's multiple laps down between them, and then Esteve, of course.
Yeah, I don't know if Shellbach's car is damaged or if he's just falling from the from just lack of pace. But boy, it's been a rough middle stint for that team.
Now, I'm trying to remember, did he make that contact that caused his car to get up in the air in turn 2? Was that after his pit stop, or was that before? I want to say it was after, yeah.
That's this stint, yeah.
So they haven't been able to go in to repair any damage that they might have. And it looks very unsteady. If we can watch him for a while, just wiggling all over the place. It's right on board. Yeah, there we go. Director's already thinking ahead of me here. Can't quite... Whoa, and he's starting to slide! And the leader manages to get by. That was actually a very important moment because the leader had to slow down to try and keep out of the way. Let's get a replay from Dennis's view because that happened right in front of him. There you can see, coming up to him, and just ahead of him, a car starts to come across the track. Takes a little bit of an alternate line, but the braking saved him. Now we've got Claudio Klima waiting in the interview room. Which team is he with, actually? Corsim Racing. Those guys are currently sitting in 16th, so let's pull Claudio in. Talk to him real quick, see how their race is going. Claudio, this is Joe Peak with GSRC.
Hello.
I take it you are racing. Welcome to the booth. I take it you're racing with Corsim Racing.
Yep. I just wanted to say hi, guys. Really nice commentary.
Oh, thank you very much. Now,
You just need to catch up a little bit on trading paints, and you're pretty much perfect.
Well, we've refreshed, but unfortunately, Trading Paints is not giving us the proper paint, so it's a little out of our control. But we see that Santerier's right now got the car in 16th position. Are you guys pleased with that, or is it 15th actually? By the time the score is jumping.
We are pleased that we got second the race last night. Nice chunk of points, 250 something. So
Wow.
This race is more for experience. But we had some issues. Santeri had throttle issues during qualifying, and he still got 10th. And out of the blue, I had to get in the car. I had no idea I was supposed to do the third stint.
It's a little bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, surprise, and we got. I was so disappointed that we got punted really hard. We have wing damage.
Yeah, we can see a little bit of a damage on the car there, the number 12 machine. Not looking too much worse than wear.
We're missing top speed, but at the same time we're eating the tires much faster. We don't have the downforce, sorry.
Now, Brian a little bit earlier was saying that he noticed that those roofs seem like they can take the curbs a lot better than the other GT3 cars. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
I don't know, because I haven't driven other cars much this season. We are driving the BMW in another league, but other than that, and the BMW has, I think it's stronger here. If you look at the top split to the BMW rules.
Andrew Wood, we have a big crash. Andrew Woodhouse. It got collected by somebody. Sorry, Claudio, I'd hate to cut in.
No problem.
Big crash.
Yeah, in fact, he is. We're going to look at the replay. He is already in the pits.
He took out somebody else, and they actually went into the tree, so I don't know who it is.
Now, this must have been a hardware error because he veered. Oh, wow, that was a hard hit. He veered into the wall in the straight line.
That was Domingo that went out there with him.
Whoa.
Wow.
We always say you can't count these races out until the checkered flag falls, and that just goes to show it.
Claudio, I think I cursed you. This is Bill Zahn. I picked you to win today.
Hello, Bill.
It's good to talk to you again. I think I jinxed you. You got into some early trouble.
Yeah, but it's still not over yet because there's an alien alert for the third stint.
Okay.
Watch out that guy. Watch out that guy, Frederick. Only 15-year-old, by the way.
Oh my!
Oh, young gun.
Yeah. By himself, he gave me the car in second position for the last night, with 40 seconds ahead of third position. And I had a hardware issue myself. The heel rest start got loosened. It was an adventure to break, but we got second, and we're sitting. I think we're top 15 in the BS standings right now. So
Looking pretty solid for you guys to get into the Pro Series. Thanks for coming and talking to us, Claudio.
It's a pity you're only broadcasting the third race, because we like to do our affairs in the first two races, not to have a do or die situation in the third race.
We'll see what we can get in. That may change a little later in the series of races, but it all depends on what our schedule will allow. But thanks for coming and talking.
Okay, thank you. Really nice commentary. Really good job. Here, guys.
That was Claudio Klima, who is racing for Core Sim Racing today, currently 16th out on track. What we want to get back to on track, though, is
want to go to fourth position. Yeah, he's got there.
While we've been talking to Claudia, I've been watching this gap shrink and shrink and shrink, and now you've got Powell 1 second off of Andreas, about 5 to 7 minutes roughly away from the pit stop. He's there. Now it's going to be a matter of how hard do you push? Do you wait for a mistake, or do you just go for it?
Well, as we watch the two of them, you can see they're both on screen, and just behind is Maximilian, Andreas's teammate. He could get into this mix. If the things get slowed up, he could try and get his lap back. There's no rule against that. Right now it's down to a second, under a second. This is his favorite spot. Pavel liking to get a great exit off of 4. And he does. He gets a run. So he's going to close in yet more. Down to 0.8 of a second.
And Pavel really has been the star of this race so far. We've seen him do all of his passing on the track.
Yeah, if we elect for a drive of the race, Pavel's definitely up for that award, I'd say, as we ride on board with Almensberger, looking back over the rear spoiler.
And he's had to work for every pass he's had to get. None of them have been easy. And I don't think this one's going to be easy either.
And now he is within half a second as he continues to close in. Just about down to the last third of the race with 1 hour and 3 minutes left to go. I think it's going to be right when he gets on the tail end. If I was Pavel's team, I'd say, come in now, and let's try and jump him.
Now we're going to see driver switches. Pavel's going to come out of the car, and so is our leader's going to come out of the car. And then we may see some familiar faces back here. Allensberger, we may bring back his original driver.
Here we go. Pavel's got another good run coming off of 4. He's not going to go for it this time. Under braking once again. The BMW looking very good in that chicane. Then we see the McLaren stretch away.
I think he's either going to set that pass up coming into turn 5 the next time around, or he's going to make a dive for it coming into 8. Both of those spots in the track, he's really been able to take that BMW and dive it right into the corner. And as long as he can stay close enough and set up that zone, and I think we're going to see what's going to happen here as they come through the corners. And because that BMW's just been able to outdive. Look at that gap that he makes up. He's right there. So now you have to try to get off of the corner, get cycled back around. But I really think that his money spot has been coming off of turn 4, heading up into 5.
I agree. I think that's where we're going to see that move take place. Now, one thing to consider too is that both of these drivers have been on these tires for about an hour now. Pretty much every team takes tires during their stop. I don't think anybody is going to be on these for 2 hours, but so these tires are worn on these guys. I wonder if that's going to change how aggressive we see Pavel be. Here's his favorite corner coming up, into 4. Looking to get himself that run, and they've got a lapped car ahead of him. That's Christos Nulis for Hellenic Racing. Riding on board with Pavel, closing in, under braking. We've got more lapped cars up ahead of them. This could hold things up. Christos moves out of the way. Benjamin Lindsay for TNT is up ahead as well. Pavel looks a little bit to the inside, down into the chicane. Almensberger also looking to try and get by the lapped car. Wasn't close enough.
Yeah, nowhere for Lindsay to put the car through the chicane there.
Let's see if he slows up coming out of the hairpin there. Does he think they're close enough? Doesn't look like it this time. So maybe on the front stretch.
Oh,
and Almensberger comes in.
That's one way to do it.
They're trying to get the jump on them, get some fresh tires, and that could be critical. This could mean that Pavel's chance is lost. He might have to do it, or his teammate might have to do it on track.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work for Pavel. He's got 2 things against him. He's got the lap traffic ahead of him, and then the car that he was battling with is going to have 1 lap of fresh tires, which is probably going to be faster than what he can do right now. So this may not going to work.
Yeah, but if you're Triton, and you definitely need to be getting on the radio and saying, next time by, box.
Yeah.
Get that BMW in. Now, what's been happening with Almensberger? Did he switch out? Looks like he has swapped out, and Pitchler is back in that car for team number 111.
And the leader is in.
Grabowski takes his stop.
And the second place driver is in.
Now, what does Pavel do?
I'm going to bet he's coming to pit road this time.
He does not.
Oh, he must think that he's got a good enough car. This is going to get interesting to see what happens between him and now Patrick Pitchler in the other car. We'll see who comes out in front of who.
I'm thinking this is a strategic mistake, though.
This may not play out until the end of the race. In theory, every lap he puts on in old tires is 1 lap fresher tires he'll have for the next stint. So
he ran a pretty decent lap time the last time by, with given the circumstance of being on those tires that he's on for 41 laps.
It was a 28.6, but now he's got this lap traffic, and this is definitely going to slow him up. There's one car moving off to the side. Lindsay giving him room. Now, where is Pitchler? What kind of lap times is Pitchler going to be doing here? Let's watch that. This one won't be representative since it's his out lap. And again, this is a battle for the podium position, the final podium position. Now into the final hour of this 3-hour race.
he's going another one.
In fact, he's almost back around behind the car that he was chasing, Pitchler.
Yeah, now Brad Wooden has come in, and he's pitted and given up over to Chris Tarrant.
Also, our leader with him coming in, and Denis Grabowski doing the first part. Ilya Molotovshikov, there we go, is now in the lead, or will take over the lead.
Food for thought, with Powell staying out, and I'm going to give credit to our director Ahmed for saying this. with him staying out, he could be trying to short pit the last stop a little bit, because now with every lap that he runs on these sets of tires, that's one less of fuel, one less, what am I trying to say here? One less lap of fuel that he needs for the end. Maybe short fill it a little bit, just get what you need to get to the end, and maybe that's what's going to make up that difference between he and Patrick.
Now we're going to get an idea of Pitchler's lap times here.
Now he's in.
And Pitchler with a 128.8.
That's about a second. Oh, no, not a second. Never mind. I read it wrong.
So actually, Pavel's lap times were comparable. He ran a 28.6 and a 28.9 in those 2 laps, but it's not going to be enough to jump him is the thing.
I think we're going to have one heck of a battle as whoever takes over for Powell comes out of pit road, and you're going to have Patrick Pitchler just screaming by.
Undoubtedly.
Maybe he doesn't take tires, because on these, I can't imagine that working. But on these cars, you had to do the fuel first, and then you have to wait for the tires to be done. Maybe he's gonna try to do it from here.
Pitchler working his way towards the hairpin. Arcadius Pollock has gotten into the Triton Racing BMW. Still, the car is taking service, waiting for the tires to go up on the jack. Pitchler's now heading for that final chicane. You can see on screen. On mine, I'm watching Arcadius to see when he exits through the last chicane for Pitchler. This is going to be very close. Pollock is moving now. Oh, it's going to be extremely close. And Pitchler's got him.
Got him by a comfortable margin. That wasn't as close as I was expecting.
Now, what kind of lap times does Arcadius have? That's the big question, too. So, our order now that the top guys have pitted. Ilya is leading for Curb Surfers. That car has not relinquished the lead yet. John Oncala still in the car for Iberica Racing Salem. They are in second. Patrick Pitchler is overtaken for Almonsberger. He did the first stint, now he's doing the last stint. And they're in Pure Racing Team number 111, completing the podium. Now, Arcadius Pollock in the Triton Racing BMW. This is the one we've been watching for a lot of the race. His teammate was chasing down the number 111. Can he continue to do so? Does he have the speed? He's sitting in fourth. Also, for Direct Clutch Motorsports, Brad Wooten has gotten out of that car. And now Chris Tarrant is driving that roof. In fact, he's only 4 seconds behind Arcadius. So these guys are in a solid top 5, and it's not over yet. We'll see if Chris is able to run down Arcadius as well. We could see multiple battles.
Gap now that they've cycled around between Patrick and Arcadius is 4 seconds.
Just ahead of him, ahead of, excuse me, no, I was looking at Maximilian Benecki. Now, looking at 13th, Frederick Rasmussen, you remember him from previously. He has taken over the Corsim Racing machine, so actually, isn't that their third driver today? He's got Joel Tremblay in 14th, close behind, and Gregory Tansen just up the road. Not quite a battle, they're all a little bit spread out there. For our fans of Mad Cow Racing, they have Philip Janssen van Rensburg in the car. and he has moved his way up into 21st, I'm seeing.
It looks like they've got more damage on the right front of that car. The car looks really just milked out now. I knew that'd get a groan from our producer.
They're not making as quick as progress as I think we expected, unfortunately. We know that early mistake was going to hurt, but with their speed from the prior week, I would have thought maybe top 15. They're going to let Chris Tarrant's roof on by. They're not in a battle with them being a lap down. Oh, we've got a car off. That's one of the Pure Racing. That's Maximilian Benecki.
He's running in 29th position. Looks like he's going to ask for a tow.
Just looking through the order and seeing kind of where everything stands, seeing if we've got any battles. Everybody's a little spread out at this point. People have found themselves some space. Now, with the driver swaps having just taken place, though, we should see some of those gaps close.
Yeah, it takes a second after driver swaps for the fans and the announcers and even the drivers to figure out what's going on. What do we have now? What hand have we been dealt this time? Who's fast? Who's a comer? Who's a goer?
Speaking of which, as we watch this battle for 12th with Gregory Tansen and Frederick Rasmussen, Tansen coming out on top momentarily. Rasmussen looks like he might try to come back at him. No answer into the final chicane, though. As we stay on this battle, I was going to say, speaking of comers and goers, I see that Arcadius was not catching up to Patrick Pitchler. Oh, it sounds like something happened to Shellbach, excuse me.
Yeah, I've been watching this, just kind of paying attention as we talked about kind of how that car has fallen through the field. As they came up through the first chicane, and then as he came through from corner 5 to corner 6, the car got very squirrely, kind of what we were all seeing, and he actually put that up into the fence and damaged the car even further, and then has since disconnected. It was a shame for our outside pole sitter.
Yeah, they gave it a go, but that just wasn't working for them.
Good old college try was not enough today. Mistakes and some battles that went south, unfortunately, have sealed the deal for them. Meanwhile, Frederick Rasmussen still all over Gregory Tansen, not letting him get away, sticks his nose into the hairpin. Doesn't really get the car side by side. Unfortunately, that hurt his exit, and he is dropping back.
Gregory Tansen in the running in 12th position in the 43 car. That team's made a great run, starting in 27th position up to 12th for MSP driver home 4. So a great run from that club.
Solari managed to make a move on screen up to 14th. Well, it was over Joel Tremblay, who's now got Jairo Vaya, who actually I believe is a lap down. Yes, he is. So he is not in this battle. He's waiting for these guys to sort it out so he can either go by or let them get away. In fact, I think Jairo is faster than Joel. And that's got to be really frustrating, Brian, when you're a faster car, but you know you're going to be given the blue flags as soon as you get in front of them.
Yeah.
Even though you're not required to pull over blue flags in iRacing.
Yeah, and that is frustrating, and there have been times where, because I'm typically not the faster car in that sort of scenario, but maybe fresh tires or something like that, and it does get frustrating because you kind of have to ignore iRacing. Thankfully, they don't penalize you for ignoring them. It's just kind of a guideline.
Exactly. As long as your line is consistent and you're not blocking the person in front, I tend to look kindly on blue flag situations. Now, sadly, for fans of Team Triton Racing Blue, Arcadius Pollock is now 6 seconds behind Pitchler. His lap times have been consistently slower than the third place car. That Podium starting to slip away from the BMW. I really think they missed out on their opportunity. I think they should have pitted before Team Pure Racing. Because if they could have had track position, it could have been very difficult to pass them with the late braking that they have.
Now, guys, I know that curb surfers have had a pretty much a stranglehold on this lead this entire race. They've led all but 5 laps. Take a look back at second place. John Ancala, he's cut that lead down to 10 seconds. In the last couple laps, he's been faster than the leader. And the last time around, he was 0.6 faster. So with just a hair over 45 minutes left in this race, we're just going to have to mind that gap. We're going to have to see how this all shakes down, because we could come down to a really great finish here, guys.
And for the lead, no less. Ilya Bean in his first stint, John Ancala on his second.
This battle for 11th is really heating up, guys. We may want to go back to Kevin Leclerc, Gregory Transon, and Frederick Rasmussen. The fastest car of the 3 of them is the one at the tail.
Oh, and it looks like it's about to kick off here, coming out of 4. Rasmussen right on the tail. Tanson taking a look to the inside of Leclerc. Possibly also a defensive move, but not able to get it done there. A little bit hard on the curbs. Compromises his exit. Frederick Rasmussen now right on the rear spoiler of that roof. Looks to the inside. Just a little bit of a peek and not a serious move into the second chicane. We ride on board with Rasmussen now. Oh, look, he's right on top of him. I think we're going to see a move down into the hairpin. Tanson goes defensive, goes back to the line. There's contact.
Sorry, Gregory. I'm sorry you got tapped, but I'm not sure you can weave back and forth like that.
Yeah, you can't. You got to pick a side there. Well, look at the replay. I agree with you. He moved to the right, and I think, understandably, Rasmussen thought, okay, well, you're on that side, and then suddenly he started going back, so Rasmussen had to weave to not run into the back of him, but it was too late. And Tanson has pulled off to the side of the road. I think he's exiting it out. He is taking a tow. Looking at it one more time. And just a clip of that right rear corner was enough to send him into the concrete wall.
Now let's go back to 11th spot again. This is Rasmussen is not done. He's got Leclerc. Now Leclerc, if he's been watching in his rearview mirrors, may want to think about weaving here.
Take a lesson from the car behind. Even with the damage from that contact, and earlier, we talked to Claudio Kleeman and said they were down on top speed. They are still closing in. They're currently sitting in 12th place. This is where the pass happened last time. Once again, he's good off of turn 7. Looks to the inside. Leclerc knows a little bit better. He holds his line, and it is a clean and decisive move.
Yep.
Now, I thought I heard maybe a little bit of contact with the wall. Is that?
I did too, but I couldn't find it.
Not sure who had a little troubles along the way, but Rasmussen now up into 11th. Could they see a top 10? Next up the line, is that going to be Peter Ridley? Yes, it is. He has taken over for Mika Happinen for Nitor Velo.
See, that's what's nice to get the drivers to come in for that little interview. Now we know about this guy. This is the 15-year-old alien that Klima was talking about, correct?
That's right, yeah, and we saw him 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch, and he was one of the top runners. So that jives with what Claudio was telling us about his speed.
So he's got 10 seconds to get to Ridley, so we'll check back in on this when he gets a little closer.
Now, with Arcadius being a little bit slower than his teammate, Chris Durant, however, has been on pace. He is now only 3 seconds behind Arcadius. I wonder if we're going to see 4th place even go away from Team Triton.
And what Brian was talking about earlier, the lead now, the leader is down to 8.8 seconds. I think it was about 12 or 13 at the driver swap. I think it was 10 when Brian checked in with us, and now it's down under 9.
You're stealing my thunder, Bill.
Oh, sorry, Brian.
I've been silently monitoring this. At the 45-minute mark, it was 10 seconds, and now here at the 40-minute mark remaining, it's down to 8.5. So a second and a half every 5 minutes. Somebody who's better at math than me, figure that one out.
Well, we've got 5 goes into 120 times. So that would be 15 times into...
Let's go to the leader right now. He's actually being passed. There's something going on. The leader just gave up a position to Steve McGarvey. Just let him go by.
That wasn't 4th position. That was a car.
But now he's down to 7.5 seconds.
Was McGarvey maybe all over him, and it was obvious that he was faster?
Yeah, but I'm the leader. I'm the leader of the race.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't want to fight McGarvey. He doesn't want to get in a bad situation. So if he sees an opportunity to lift just a little bit and limit the damage, I think that could be the right call for Ilya.
Well, and I'm kind of just looking back at the tail of the tape here, going back on about 5 or 10 laps, and McGarvey was catching him. I mean, even that last lap, he was all up into the rear mirror of Ilya. And if you're in that point, you're not going to get your race, potentially a race-winning run taken away by a guy who's a lap off the pace. Let him go by, let him run ahead of you, maybe let him clear some path in front of you. But more importantly, that lead now is down to 6.7 seconds, so we don't need to do math.
Well,
it's coming.
I think the same thing's going to happen again, because now he has the 17th place car of Nayoa Naji behind him. Now that's Tomoki Kono's partner. Kono has stepped out and he's given it over to, I'm going to assume, I'm sorry if I'm stereotyping here, I think that's another Japanese driver, so a pair of Japanese drivers. And I think our leader might have to do the same thing again and lift and let another lapped car go by.
Well, the big thing is when he lifted to let Steven go by, he lost a second.
Oh, he did it on the straight. He did it right down the straight, yeah.
As we continue to watch this, also with Chris Tarrant catching Arcadius Pollock, because now it's down to 2.5 seconds. He has less than half a second between himself and 6th place, Alexander Minea. So we could be seeing Tarrant catching Pollock and Minea staying in this battle as well, and a 3-car battle for 4th position erupting soon.
And just to follow up on 10th place there, that lead, which was 10 seconds back to Rasmussen, is now down to 8.5. So we have lots of things to keep an eye on here as we close in with 38 minutes to go. The biggest being, can the leader hold this lead, which is now 6 seconds, under 6 seconds?
Now, we always, in other endurance races, real quick, I want to talk about this point. In other endurance races, we've seen, when Ilya makes a mistake into the final chicane there, holds it together, though. We see caution flags in things like the Continental Endurance Series, which has driver swaps. We always talk about put the anchor in the final one in case of a caution so that they can scamper away. There's no cautions in this. So even though they put the slower driver in at the end, is it that big of a deal? I mean, what do you think, Bill? Would you
I don't think it is. I think he's going to run an hour, whether they put him first, second, or third. Doesn't really matter. Maybe third is better. Maybe you get him out there in front and just have him in clean air and do what he can. But it's got to be disheartening to have your teammate give you a 12-second lead and then give it up. And I'm pulling for Ilya because I don't want to see him have to live with this.
Well, a team wins together and they lose together. So everybody has to take a bit of a part of that, especially if it's close at the end. You know, you could say, oh, well, Ilya could have run a little bit faster. Well, his teammate could have run a couple faster laps as well. You don't know exactly who made mistakes where at this point.
And they may have done the math. They may be happy with a 5-second lead. Brian, would you be happy with the way things are going right now if you were the leader?
I'd be happier with that 12 to 18 second lead that we saw at times. Yeah, I mean, John is putting on a driving clinic back there, just lap after lap. He's not overstepping his bounds. He's just driving the car to what he knows it can do. And he's been sometimes 3/10 quicker, sometimes 7/10 quicker. So it's really not surprising that in 10 minutes now, that lead has been cut down to half from where it was 10 minutes ago.
Now, as we look at Oncala in second place, one thing I'd like to note, if you were looking, our leader is in a McLaren. Oncala is driving a BMW. Pitchler, third place driver, McLaren. Pollock, he's in a BMW. Chris Tarrant is in a Roof. And then Alexander Manea is also in a McLaren. So we have a serious mix of cars up at the top 6 here.
And maybe we can get the director to go on board with Oncala because he actually can see the guy he's chasing now at certain parts of the track on the straightaway. He can spot him, and that's always makes you more hungry when you can actually see what you're chasing.
It's blood in the water.
At the end of this straightaway right here, leading up to 10, you can see him just up ahead.
So as we watch this, we do have another driver in the interview booth. That's Kevin Brown from Turn 2 Petrol Data Motorsports. Let's pull Kevin in and talk to him real quick here. Kevin, you guys are, let's see, where are you currently? Ryan Otis is in the car. He's in, looks like 25th place. We know you had a spin a little bit earlier. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, sorry, Arcadius Pollock just spun as well, and he has just given up both 5th and 6th position. Sorry, but that was one of our leaders. And that was coming out of the final chicane. I think that was driver error. Just spun on his own after such a good race. Could have been fighting for that 4th. Excuse me, sorry about that, Kevin. So, we know that you had a spin earlier in the race, or at least I think it was your teammate that did. Has that really affected the rest of the race, or do you think you guys are about where you would have been even without that?
We're probably about where we would have been. This is not a track that we are great at, and the competition is pretty fast out here today. So we lost a couple of spots in that spin. It was just kind of a harmless self-spin in turn 1, just a little too much rear brake bias. And around we went, lost a couple of spots. But, you know, being early in the race, they were right there on us. So, I don't think we've really lost all that much time overall.
Now, we've noticed that the leaders have been having, especially our overall leader has been having a little trouble with lapped cars, but not in the usual way. He's actually been letting them by instead. He's been driving a little slower than some of them. Have you guys been in that position yet where you're overtaking cars that are a lap ahead, and has that been a serious issue?
No, we haven't actually been passing too many people. We have been getting past, but we've certainly had some really aggressive attempts at lapping us from some of the faster cars, including the leader, who I believe the driver's actually in the car right now, but apparently he thought it'd be a great idea to spam my PMs as they were trying to lap me, so my screen is flashing blue as the driver is trying to pass me into the second chicane, and I nearly hit him and ended his race, so that would have been a pretty amazing moment for those guys. And there's been some other really, really aggressive drivers. I had one guy, as I'm in the middle of my own 3-car battle in the second chicane, and he drove straight into the back of me real hard. And so I took great delight in letting the next cars by as quickly as possible so that they could go chase him down, which I hope they did. I really, really hope they did.
Well, it looks like you guys probably won't be getting a top 20 today in this rather large field of 37. Are you going to be satisfied if you finish in 25th, or were you hoping for a little bit more?
No, we were kind of hoping for a little bit more, but we had a pretty good points finish in yesterday afternoon's race, so we were kind of banking on that. We were hoping that we might be able to get a little luck with casualties today, and we still might. We're still kind of picking up random spots here and there. We are faster than the car in front of us, so we might be able to chase him down. So there's still hope that we might scalp a few points here and there, or a few positions here and there, and make it a little better. But yeah, this is just a track none of us are really all that comfortable on, and I don't think the McLaren's all that hot here. I'm really impressed by the guys in the McLaren's that are running hot quickly here, because this is just a really, really difficult combo for me particularly.
Yeah, it's been a good mix up front. We were just remarking a little bit earlier about the fact that we had some roofs. We had a very even mix of both McLarens and BMWs up at the front.
And we are about to take a position change, I think.
Yes, we see it on screen right now. Can't see who that car is in front of you guys. Looks like Liam Williams.
Yeah, Liam Williams. So I guess he spun and is back on track. So he's in Ryan's sights now. Ryan is hot to pass somebody. I know that. He was kind of kicking himself earlier.
Kevin, how does the McLaren fare at the end of the stint with tires compared to the other cars?
Well, I can't tell you about the other cars because I haven't driven them. But
do you feel outmatched though at the end of the? Do you feel comfortable at the end of the stint? You don't feel like they have an advantage over you?
No, I think, most of it is just down to the general car's overall handling. I mean, the roof is so good under braking and so good on the power of these slow corners that, even if it's on bad tires and you're on bad tires too, it's still going to out-drag you. And we got some chatter going on in our team radio about that overtaking maneuver.
We were just watching that on screen. I was about to remark on that. That was not Brad Wooten, Chris Tarrant, actually, in Direct Clutch Motorsports, overtaking in the hairpin, and Alexander Minea also going on by down the straight before the final chicane. Unfortunately, that's put you guys a little bit farther back from your target.
Yeah, so this is what we were dealing with. I was trying to chase somebody down in my stint, and every time I kind of closed him down, there was some sort of really aggressive lap attempt by somebody, and lose a couple seconds. And it's really frustrating too, because it's like, hey, if you let me run my line and I help you by, we're both going to lose maybe half a second. But if you try and shove it in at the last second to the hairpin or the chicane, and we're going to wind up going side by side, then we're both going to lose 2 seconds. So, it's really, really frustrating that some of these faster cars aren't trying to work with the slower cars. This is such a difficult track to pass at that you can't really cleanly pass somebody without their help. And if you're trying to, force yourself in on the lapper, you're not doing anybody any favors.
Yeah, I can understand that, but on screen we see a battle for position 6. Marcus Meyer is putting the pressure on Arcadius Pollock. So Pollock has been going from bad to worse here at the end of the race, and Marcus is going to look to the inside, but backs out of it by the time they get to the chicane. Marcus is on a great run. They started in 11th. They're in 7th right now. We've been seeing these guys move up position by position slowly throughout the race, and already they're looking to take another one here with 27 minutes left to go. Thanks for coming and talking to us, Kevin. Hopefully your team has a good finish out for the rest of the race.
Thanks, Joe.
That was Kevin Brown, middle stint driver for Turn 2 Motorsports, sponsored by Petrel Data.
Joe, let's look at 10th position here before we go back up to the leaders. I had a neighbor come over and introduce me to this great band Cake that I'd never heard before. Man, they're good. And I said, thanks, neighbor. Well, I kind of want to give a thank out to Claudia Klima, because I think I got a new driver now that I'm going to start following, Frederick Rasmussen. He's now closed into under 1.5 seconds on Peter Ridley here. Been running him down. It was a 10-second lead just a few minutes ago. Man, he is something else.
He's going the distance.
Oh, man.
Apparently off screen, we just missed a pass from turn 2 as we finally left them, so they got that position. Billy, yeah, I'm surprised. Cake is more from my generation than yours, I would say.
How did I not know about this group? Oh, it's going the distance.
band,
It's going
good
for
band.
speed. Oh, yeah, this is great. And I'm telling you, a guy going for speed right now is Fredrik Rasmussen.
Oh, he's already been gaining since we first switched to him. Actually, we're back on Arcadius Pollock, it looks like, and that battle is just a little bit closer. You can see heading down into turn 1.
And guys, you can stay looking at that. I just want to give you a quick update to the leader. Gap has now shrunk to 3 seconds from John Ancala up to Ilya Smith, and it's been slowing a little bit. He was gaining all that time, and Ilya hit some pretty heavy lap traffic there between Christos and Noya Nagai. And he was able to maintain that and get through there fairly clearly. And now John is working his way through there. So with that gap kind of stabilizing out at the moment with 25 minutes left, I think it's still going to get interesting towards the end, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
We ride on board with Marcus Meyer as we got that information about Molotov-Shikov. And still just putting the pressure on that 6th place driver. However, we might have a move for P10 here. Peter Ridley has Rasmussen all over him, and actually Rasmussen backs out of it.
Oh, there he goes. He pressured Ridley right off the course. Scared him off the course.
And a slowdown penalty is going to give that away. Ridley from Nitor Velo down into 11th. Rasmussen up to the top 10.
Yeah, Ridley missing his breaking point might have been the best thing to happen to him because...
And the battle is going on for P6 here. Arcadius to the inside at turn 1. Marcus trying for the over the under, and he goes into the back of him. And this has allowed Luigi and Espolini just behind them to close up. A little bit wide on that second corner. Arcadius comes back to the apex to try and chop off Marcus. Marcus can't do anything about it. A little bit of blinking from Arcadius, unfortunately. That's going to make it extra difficult for Meyer. Meyer looking to the inside just a little bit, comes back to the line. He's going to have to really get this done soon now that Luigi has caught up to them. Usually with these BMWs being stronger in the fiddly bits, you don't expect a McLaren to come into the back of one in the middle of a corner. And once again, going defensive, but we see a driver move back to the line. We've seen this multiple times on that hairpin. Drivers coming back to the line. Marcus with a great exit coming out of the hairpin. This time he's got the inside down to the chicane. Is he going to get a nose ahead? He does. Tries to get it turned in. Denies him the apex, and now Marcus Meyer up into 6th, and unfortunately for Arcadius, Luigi is all over the back of him in a heartbeat. Looks to the inside, decisive move from Luigi.
Meyer put that car within a hair's breadth of Arcadius. I don't know. Man, that was good car control.
He knew what he was doing. I'm wondering why it only seems to be in that hairpin that we've seen a couple drivers now go to the right to defend and then come right back to the line. And it's caused trouble both times. Luigi's got a good run coming out of that first chicane. What's going to happen to Arcadius here? He stays in the middle of the track. Just about comes back to the line. Now squeezes back in. Luigi's seeing what he can do. That grip in the low speed corners helping him, but he drops back. Must have had to left off coming out of 7 there.
Update for the battle out front for you guys. Right now, John is within 2 seconds. Well, it's about 2.2 to 2.3 seconds. There's going to come a crucial moment in this race coming up. We have just over 21 and a half minutes left. It's going to depend on how John gets around Noya, there we go.
Noya Nagai?
Noya Nagai, thank you. how he gets around him.
And sorry, we've got a pass on the screen. Luigi's looking around the outside of one. Going to be a tough ask. Arcadius manages to slip back for the inside of 2, and Luigi has no answer. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. It's going to depend on how he gets around the lap car here. Because if John is held up in any way, shape, or form by the lap car of the guy, that's it. Race is over. You've got 21 minutes now. So now when John gets there, he's going to have to be very, very specific, very careful about getting around that car. And then I think Nagai is going to also have to give room a little bit for this to work out towards the end.
Oh, well, Arcadius once again weaves. His car blinks a little bit, and Luigi has to get out of it. I'm a little bit disappointed in the racecraft of this split, at least when it comes to defense.
That little white Porsche, roof. It's a Porsche. He's like a fly buzzing around that BMW. He is all over him. He's left, he's right. And
he's done a great job of keeping out of him. I mean, these cars really need to pick a side. You can't. I know that the track kind of weaves, but you got to make it definitive.
yeah, let's stay on this a little bit longer and see. Now, okay, you're going to be able, you can come across the track if you want. If the BMW wants to come across, but it starts to be now where you better hold your line. Right.
I was going to say that there's just an inch of space. He's got to take that inside. This time he does. Arcadius is able to hold on around the outside, which could give him the corner for 2. But no, the Porsche gets the gun off of the acceleration zone, and Luigi is finally up into 7th. So from a potential podium for Team Triton, now down into 8th after a mistake and the lack of speed here at the final hour.
Yeah, the bad news for him was I think Luigi might have had the pace to stay with Marcus, but Marcus has pulled away now. Marcus Myers pulled away. He's got about a 3.5 second lead back to 7th spot.
Another update for the lead. John has navigated successfully the 2 lap cars. He got a little held up by Nagai, caught him in the wrong spot, the absolute wrong spot coming out of the corner.
And now Nagai is in a battle for position actually right now.
Yep. And now there is open track between John Ancala and Ilya Smith.
Molotashukov.
I'm just going to say, I'll say the first name and I'll let you say the last name.
I think I've got it now.
Molotashkinov.
Molotov-Shikov. There we go.
All
right. So that gap's still about 3 seconds, as you said. And Nagai still trying to pressurize Joel Tremblay. He's looking at a 15th position if he can get that done in his last 20 minutes.
You know, Brian, what I will say, though, is while the gap is shrinking, it seems to be shrinking at a smaller pace. It's not being gobbled up quite like it was earlier.
No. Once the lead gap hit down to about 3 seconds, it seemed to have stabilized off. But I think there's no doubt that Ancala is quicker. It's just going to be a matter of how this is going to shake out between Ilya and John.
Right now we ride on board with Tremblay in 15th. And you can actually see the fire spitting out of the exhaust of that McLaren. Nagai, with a decent run off of the final chicane, but wasn't able to get close enough down in the first corner. Oh, this is going to be a good opportunity, I think, accelerating off of 4. He's getting a little closer. Once again, a decent run, but just not enough. Thinking that Noya is going to have to simply wait for a mistake from Tremblay and pounce when he gets a bad exit out of a corner. Now down to the final 16 minutes of this race. If anybody's going to make a move, now is the time to push. A little bit of a wobble from Tremblay. No door opens though.
We can stay on this battle, but I just want to update you here. 9th position with Miko Nitamaki. Let me try this. Nitamaki. That's shrunk down to about 5 seconds to Fredrik Rasmussen, my new favorite driver.
Rasmussen clearly on a charge, been overtaking multiple cars in this final stint. Also, we got an update. It looks like Odox Motorsports has been DQ'd. We suspect it's from incident points. So we wondered if that would bite anybody, and it looks like it might have. There we see our 10th place driver, Fredrik. 15-year-old phenom, we understand.
And I think Claudia answered it. He talked about they got their points earlier in the week, so this is kind of a test race for them. Otherwise, they might have that guy in the car maybe more than one stint.
I don't know about you guys, but 15, when it came to sim racing, I was trying to just complete a 12% race length race on NASCAR Racing 2. So this just impressive how some of these young guns can really wheel the cars around. Back to this battle for 15th.
Just another update for you guys. Just a hair over 14 and a half minutes left. Gap is 2 seconds between our leader and second place.
So he's closed it down. Something must have slowed down Molotashikov at some point along the way.
Well, the other thing is Molotashikov he's still riding behind Stephen McGurvey. Now, if you remember back about, what was that, a half hour ago, that's the car he let by. So, and McGurvey has only been able to stretch out.
Here goes Nagai down the inside. He might have overshot himself. They're side by side, and the better exit goes to Tremblay. Composed defense from Tremblay, didn't give the inside and got the exit. Beautiful stuff. Sorry about that there, Brian.
Oh, don't worry about it. That was exciting right there. But to my point, Steven he's only stretched away about maybe a second and a half over Ilya, but Ilya is slowly falling into the clutches of John Ancala, so this is really going to get interesting.
So we don't know yet what Ilya's defenses are like. He might have to employ them here in the dying stages. Boy, Noya has just been trying to chip away at Tremblay for so many laps here. He finally got an opportunity and was just a little too hot into there. Could see one more. See what kind of exit he gets off of turn 4. That's where he was strong last time, but he's too far back. Now, back up to the lead, though, because it is down to 1.3 seconds between Ancala and Molotashikov. In fact, there are no cars between them now.
This is mono and mono. Run what you run. Let's see how this works out.
Apologies to other battles elsewhere, but this is for the lead at the end of the race. We need to stay on this battle. Here we ride on board with Ancala, and you can see that McLaren of Ilya just up ahead.
It's now under a second. We're down to 9/10 of a second with 11 minutes and 50 seconds left to go.
I know some drivers like to talk about the BOP not being particularly fair between some cars, but I think this, at least at this track, it is spot on. As after 3 hours, the fact that the lead of the race is within a second, and Ilya is pushing, he goes all the way out into the dirt. Here comes Oncala, that BMW, good under braking. He's going to have to use that here. Whatever weapon is at his disposal, he's going to have to pull out. Down
John's
to under
close
half
enough.
a second.
He's close enough to read the logos now.
Down into the braking of 8. Through the hairpin. I think all of us are just watching and waiting, wanting to see how this plays out. Good run off the corner from Oncala.
The biggest fan of this battle might be Pure Racing Team 111 running in third. If things don't go well for these two guys, they could sneak their way into a win here.
Yeah, Patrick Pitchler in that car currently. Down to the first chicane, one of the more popular passing zones for some of these BMWs. Oncala gets a decent run. Not close enough to make an attack this time by. Now down to 10 minutes left on the clock.
Better exit through 4 for Melitovchikov that time. Got a much better drive into the first chicane.
Now, if you're in Oncala's shoes, Brian, 10 minutes to go, you've just driven for nearly 3 hours. Do you go on the attack, or do you just try and pressurize him? I mean, do you risk the car after that long?
See, this is where somebody else. This is where we get the different driving styles. I'm of the approach of you've closed the gap from 12 seconds to 0.4 of a second. Keep doing what's working. Attack, attack, attack. Pressure, pressure. And when you do that, you're probably going to end up forcing Ilya to make a mistake. We've already seen it once. He put all 4 tires off into the sand, coming out of, I believe that was 4. So John is already inside of Ilya's head.
Unfortunately, it was Oncala that made the mistake through the last chicane. You can see that gap has gone up.
Oh, he missed the Melitovchikov had a horrible exit through 1. Missed the apex altogether.
Tit for tat. Just ahead of them, Steve McGarvey is still there, but they have not been gaining on him, even though he is a lapped car. He's sitting in 14th, last car in the lead lap, actually. Here's that critical corner.
I don't think they're going to get there now. Another thing I've seen Melitovchikov in this whole run has let drivers go by. Maybe he has a little more car left, you know. Oncala's been driving the wheels off that thing. Who knows what he's got left in that thing.
If he's got more car left, what's the point of saving? You got 8 minutes. Use it.
Absolutely. Now is the time to go.
That's what I'm saying. Melitovchikov may have a little more car left than John now. John may have used it all up to get there. This is fascinating.
And in fact, it looks like they are closing on Steven now. So I think you're right. I think his team was telling him, turn the wick up. Let's go. And, you know, we don't know what, and that's why he was a little bit slower. Maybe now he can get a little bit more pace out of it if they know that they're safe on fuel.
Honestly, if I was Stephen Garvey, I would be just pulling over. I'm 6 seconds behind the car in front of me. I'm 14 seconds behind the car behind me. I don't need to be here.
Yeah, pretty much. As we ride on board with
and look at
Oncala.
this. There's a slow car of Via, letting them go by.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ilya just blinked out of there for a second. I took my eyes off the screen, looking at some timing and scoring. I came back, so that could be something to kind of pay attention to as this race.
Oh, he's very close now.
2-3 tenths of a second.
Good on that second chicane. This could be an opportunity. Does he take a peek now? No. Oh, he does take a little bit of a look. He tries to stick his nose in. This is for the lead. Ilya tries to hold on around the outside, gets the better exit. Onkala on the attack. 6 minutes to go.
And now is not the time to make a mistake, to cut a corner or anything like that, because if you have to slow down to give back time, it's over. So this you have to be so on point with your driving right now. This is fantastic.
Great job by Molotov-Shikov to just see that coming, give him that little bit of space, and then focus on a better exit off the hairpin, because that saved him there. Onkala had no answer to that last chicane. He closes back up once again, though. This could be the BMW's best chance coming out of 4. We've seen them all just get great runs and break extremely late down into the first chicane, but he doesn't get a good enough exit.
Stay on that battle up front, but just to follow up on my new favorite driver, Freddie Rasmussen, he's closed in. He's got a real shot at 9th position. Freddie Rasmussen, that's what his friends call him.
Yeah.
You know, guys, this may come down to when they actually hit the start-finish line. Molotov needs no more laps. The fewer laps, the better. So what he needs to do is hope that fate gives him that the clock runs out and he gets one less lap.
Going to be extremely tight for that. Because he can't slow the car down.
No, he can't
back
slow
it
down.
up.
He's just got to hope that maybe the clock runs out just before he gets there compared to just after he crosses the line.
Slightly off that first apex through the chicane. Thankfully, he's got the good exit out of it, keeping John Onkala at bay.
Shout out to Stephen McGarvey. Oh, wow, he took a peek. Stephen McGarvey's been able to stay ahead of these guys for 20 minutes.
And this might actually help him streak away, I think, now that these two are battling. And look at Onkala. He's a lot closer this time if he gets the exit, and he does. He's not quite closing, though. It's going to be a long lunge if he tries to look into it. He puts the car out there, just showing a nose, and gets back into line. Wow, look at how close he's getting in the chicane.
This is where he made his move the last time, coming through 7 and the long run up to 8. He's riding in line. He's not going to make a move right now. He's going to stay in line as they come through 8 and make the short little ditty there into 9 and make their way on the straightaway heading up into 10.
Still just putting the pressure on. Looking for a weakness. Hoping for a chance. Ilya trying to stay cool in the car.
Bill, to your reference point, we now have, as they cross the line, 3 minutes left. So if they run the time they did the last time, we have 2 laps left.
Just barely, though. Oh, making another look. He's very
there it
good
is.
into there. Ilya gives
He's
him room
there.
once again. Ilya gets the run off the corner, holds him at bay, yet one more time. Onkala looking to get the exit, coming off of 4. Ilya using all the track and then some. He did not lift off.
Oh, what a drive through the grass.
Everybody's everywhere.
I think he had that incident point limit. He knows where it is, and he knew that he could use that little bit. That kept him safe.
You can actually get a pretty good drive through 4 through the kitty litter in the grass. It doesn't hurt you that bad.
He's very close. He's gonna. I almost guarantee he's gonna take a dive into 8 here. Onkala, he doesn't get a good run off of 7 though. He's too far back. I thought it was gonna be a good chance for him. 3 hours, guys. 3 hours.
Oh no! John Onkala got loose coming through 9. It's over.
Let's look at the replay. What happened there? Did he just put a little bit of a tire in the dirt? This is coming into the hairpin as we ride on board. And the exit looks good. He's got car control, and then suddenly it just weaves left. I think that has to be the dirt. I don't know why you would lose it there. Now, how is his car? He's still got 14 seconds back to Pitchler. He could easily keep this in second place.
Looks pretty beat up on the driver's side over there, but it's still rolling straight. I mean, Patrick is still 13 seconds back, so I don't think there's going to be any worry there.
Oh.
That's a heartbreaker. Gah.
Iberica Racing with lots of groans, I'm sure, on their team speak if they're all sitting on there together. Meanwhile, a sigh of relief from the curb surfers as it is now up to a 3.5 second gap. It's not over. Ilya has to keep the mistakes away. Now, does he slow it down at the line to try and get the checkered flag here?
No, that's going to just base off of the timing. I think they're going to catch the white here.
And just to follow up on Freddie Rasmussen, not only did he get 9th position, he also got 8th position as well.
Still working his way up. White flag is out. Just crosses the line as the timer runs out. One more lap to go. And Oncala has actually been gaining. It's under 3 seconds. 2.5 seconds. Is Ilya taking it easy?
If you're Ilya, you keep all 4 tires on the road. You've got 5 corners left. Focus on the road, keep it on there, and you're going to bring it home a winner.
They've led every lap, bar the pit stops. The curb surfers looked very strong at Brands Hatch in the round that we covered, and they're looking even stronger now. Ilya Molotov-Shikov has withstood the pressure, rebuffed the attacks. He's got half a lap to bring it home with the win after 3 hours around Zolder. Around the hairpin. One more chicane to go. Oncala still closing. He's down to 2 seconds behind him. Just has to hit each apex here and accelerate cleanly off. Keep it out of the dirt. 1 corner. 2 corner. Off of the line. Ilya Molotov-Shikov is going to win for the curb surfers here at Zolder. Oncala will take second place on the podium, and Patrick Pitchler is a solid third, not under threat. He comes off the final corner for Pure Racing Team number 111 to finish off the podium.
Ilya Molotov-Shikov is my hero. What a great drive from him.
Beautiful drive. You can't give him enough credit in that car. Chris Durant in the Direct Clutch Motorsports machine takes home 4th. Marcus Meyer was very close behind him, though, rounding out the top 5. Alexander Minea must have been overtaken by him when we didn't see. He finished 6th. Luigi Nespolini, great job bringing that car home in 7th. Arcadius Pollock, disappointment after looking at a podium, all the way down to 8th.
What? Oh, Freddie Rasmussen must have had some trouble.
And Black Star is sputtering. We could see another position for Rasmussen. He's coming up now. It's going to be close. Can Mikko get it to the line in time? He's trying to accelerate away. Here comes Freddie. Where's the line? Frederick's got him. And Leclerc might have had him too.
Rasmussen had to make
barely.
Rasmussen had to pit on the last lap. He was up to 8th position, had to come in and make a last pit stop.
And he still makes it back up into 9th position. Black Star Racing just eked it out over Vortex Sim Racing with Kevin Leclerc. Atex Team Racing Black finished in 12th. I think that should be everybody across the line at this point. Let's go to break. Hopefully we get some of our winners here, or at least some of the drivers. Definitely come and join us here. We do interviews here post-race at GSRC. Hope you guys enjoyed that race. We definitely did. We'll be back with the interviews, the unofficial results, and stick around because we've got upcoming broadcasts here on GSRC on our screen during the break. Welcome back to Zolder, where we just watched round 3 of the Blancpain Endurance Series qualifiers here on iRacing.com. And after 3 hours, it came down to seconds between the leaders. Curb Surfers withstood the pressure and came home the winners. Iberica Racing Zalem came home in second, with Pure Racing Team number 111 rounding out the podium. Direct Clutch Motorsports managed to get fourth with a great drive from 17th on the grid. Those Aussies definitely put the work in today. Trinity Motorsports Green finished in 5th from 11th on the grid. Vortex Racing finished in 6th from 7th, so only one position gain for those guys. Team GTBES finished in 7th from 18th, another guys that climbed up the order quite a bit. Then it's Triton Racing, who unfortunately dropped down later in the race. Was sad to see. Core Sim Racing, who we talked to a little bit earlier with Claudio Klima, took home a well-deserved 9th with a great run from Frederick after having to take a late stop. Then in 10th, Bill, Black Star Racing ran out at the line but still managed a top 10.
Then we get to 11th, 12th, and 13th, the last cars on the lead lap. Vortex Sim Racing going to finish 11th. Now they're up from 25th, so they picked up 14th position. Art Racing Team Black going to finish 12th, up from 20th, so 8 positions. Now look at this. SRN Motorsports GT started in 28th positions, finished in 13th. That's a gain of 15th. That's the best of anybody in the race. Nice job from them. Then we get to the guys who are a lap down. 14th position, Nitor Vortex. Phoenix Motorsports Orange in 15th position. IRJA Flat 6 Racing in 16th position. Motor Breath Endurance in 17th, followed by Dream Factory. Oh, I like that. Gathering of Tweakers GT in 19th, and rounding out the top 20. I believe they're off the track now. Nope, they're still going around and around. Is Mad Cow Racing Buttercup. Race is over, guys.
They're trying to get more practice just in case they come back here someday. GTROS Spanish Sim Racing Orange finished in 21st. Then it's Monster Energy Endurance in 22nd. Petrel Data Turn 2 Motorsports managed to get their way all the way into 23rd, so they got another position while we weren't looking. Apex Racing UK was in 24th, with TNT Racing Gold taking home 25th. Hellenic Racing was 26th. Odox Motorsports, we understand, might have been DQ'd later in the race. They were 27th. MSP Drivers Home 4 was 28th, and Pure Racing Team number 112 was 29th. Then rounding out the top 30, Bill, was GTRO Spanish Racing Team Silver.
Then 56 laps back. All these guys are between 56 and 120 laps back. Team Turkey Motorsports, Apex Racing is going to finish 36th. Pure Racing Team, Odex Motorsports, that's the going to wrap up in 34th. MSP Driver Home 1 going to wrap up 35th. Pure Racing Team 114, and rounding out the field, Trident Racing Red in 37th, and that's everybody who entered.
Now we have at least one of our winners waiting in the wings, Dennis Grabowski from the Curb Surfers. He took the first 2 stints today and put them in a great position with some incredible speed. Dennis, I have to ask, do you have any fingernails left after that finish there?
Oh, no, I haven't sorry, I have a bad English. I have to say it. It's I have some. One moment. Sorry, I so frustrated from this finish. I left my teammate not many incidents, and no, I left him 7 incidents, and he slower than me. I know it, but it was very good pace from him. I have to say thank you for this pace for my mate. Sorry.
It's okay.
I have to go 2 stints, and I have to do some space for my mate, and I think one moment.
It's okay.
It happened very good, and my mate can defend from John. And in last 2 laps when John spun.
Yes, yes.
When they spun, I really enjoyed. In my soul, I was very happy.
I bet it was a well-earned win. We see that you guys are all in the Central Eastern Europe Club. What country do you guys hail from?
We are from Russia.
Ah, okay. Well, your English is much better than my Russian. What little I do know. So,
Oh, thank you.
Can you pronounce your partner's name for us? Malakovnikov? Can you say that first?
Молотовщиков.
see, I had it right.
Молотовщиков.
Molotovshikov.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, Dennis. Again, congratulations on the win. You guys had a fantastic race, and you gave us lots of excitement at the end.
Thank you for streaming, guys. It's really enjoyable.
All right, that was Dennis Grabowski of the winning team today, the Curb Surfers.
Joe, that's why we like everybody to come in, even if they don't have great English. We got a lot out of that interview. He didn't leave them with many incidence points.
Yeah, and that maybe explains why he had to be a little bit more conservative. So that wraps it up today. We didn't get anybody else from the podium to come and talk to us, so let's wrap it up. We want to thank the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. iRacing.com, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and AverMedia. Obviously, thanks to Blancpain for sponsoring this series and making it happen for all these drivers going for pro. Oh, and it looks like Ilya Molotovshikov has just popped in there. So apologies that we wrapped up before we could talk to him. At least we did get to talk to Dennis. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, Brian, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcast. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Next race for this series going to be at Silverstone. That'll be Sunday, November 22nd at 11:45 a.m. Eastern, pretty close to Thanksgiving time for those of you here in the States. So you guys will all be gearing up for a nice big meal, hopefully. We also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.